Dawn in the desert, a clear and chilly November morning. We are near the city of Buckeye, Arizona, where a caravan of cars is arriving, carrying volunteers. For the next several hours, they will comb this unforgiving landscape, looking for a young man who's been missing since June of 2021. His name, Daniel Robinson. And leading the search, not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
Where is everybody located?
For 9 painful months, Robinson and his team of volunteers, people he now calls family,
This is my family.
have been desperately trying to find any trace of his son.
He's a very bright, intelligent geologist. Anything that Daniel wanted to do, he would do it. He's born without a right hand, but he found ways to master anything that he wanted to do. You know, he's a geologist. Of course, Arizona is the ideal place.
In June 2021, Daniel had just begun a job doing field work at a desert well site. He'd always kept in close touch with his family back home in South Carolina. But around this time, Daniel suddenly stopped calling.
I tried to call his phone constantly. He wasn't answering.
In fact, the whole family tried calling Daniel. Nothing. His sister in Arizona checked his apartment. No one there.
I was worried. I didn't want to panic because I didn't want my children to panic, so that's when I decided to call the Buckeye Police Department.
The Buckeye PD is a small one with barely more than 100 officers. Nevertheless, they began investigating by first checking the area where Daniel was reportedly working. Nothing turned up. 2 days later, David Robinson, desperate for answers, felt he had to take matters into his own hands.
I just grabbed everything I had, threw it in my vehicle, and just started driving. And I made it here. I came straight through. Left South Carolina, came straight to Arizona.
Some 45 hours later, David arrived in this daunting desert, exhausted, but in a panic. His son was out here somewhere, all alone, facing 3-digit heat, rattlesnakes, and not a soul or building in sight. So on his own, David started searching and soon made his way to the well site where his son was last seen.
This is where it all began. This is where the whole narrative started. My son drove off into the desert and vanished, maybe from here.
David then met with a witness, a co-worker of his son's, who said he saw Daniel at the well the day he disappeared.
He did tell me that my son seemed like he was looking out into space somewhere, looking out into the desert terrain, kind of staring off, and was acting really quiet. And then he told me my son just kind of waved off to him, got in his vehicle, and drove off.
Where he went and what exactly happened next, no one seems to know. Soon after that meeting, David began recruiting volunteers to help him search the sprawling Sonoran Desert. Every Saturday for the next few weeks, they scoured this barren, treacherous landscape. They have not found Daniel. Then in July 2021, a break, a big one. A local rancher found Daniel's Jeep rolled over in a remote ravine.
When I first saw that crash site, I was really devastated. This place I had to go to and see for myself.
The airbags had deployed. The sunroof looked as if it had been kicked open, perhaps used as an escape route. And this was odd. Outside the Jeep were what appeared to be Daniel's clothes and work boots, his wallet still in his blue jeans. Inside the vehicle was his college ID, laptop, keys, cell phone, and plenty of bottled water. To help make sense of this mystery, David hired private investigator Jeff McGrath, an expert at reconstructing accidents. He has a theory of what might have happened.
There was nothing along this route that the vehicle took into that bottom ravine that matched the damage. It's telling me the vehicle was probably crashed somewhere else. Either moved here or it was continued to be driven, and this was its final stop. And whether somebody stole it in joyriding, whether Daniel was in it, but it tells me something happened somewhere else.
The Jeep has since been moved to a secured location for further analysis, but plenty of evidence still remains of the crash.
I don't believe it was enough to kill, no. The airbags had enough force to do some damage. They strike you in the face, and they come out with a lot of force, and it could cause a concussion. But there wasn't enough violence here in this crash to cause a lethal.
That suggests Daniel survived and was perhaps disoriented and maybe wandered aimlessly into the desert. Could this be other than accidental? Could foul play be involved in Daniel's disappearance? It's something McGrath and David have not ruled out. It's something police have examined too. To this point, there is no evidence of that. None at all. Whatever happened back in June of 2021 has David Robinson now bracing for the worst.
It's hard to say you're searching for your son, walking around the desert with no clothing, no shoes. So I had to mentally put it in my head that I'm doing a recovery. So I need to go find every spot I can out here to rescue my son. He may be hurt, injured, somewhere stuck, whatever. I need to find my son. Yeah, I found something up here interesting.
David is hoping to get more attention, help, and resources from the Buckeye PD, which says this is still an ongoing investigation, although so far not a criminal one.
Okay, so we're still working this side.
He's also tried to enlist federal help. In the fall of 2021, the Buckeye PD briefed the FBI and asked for their assistance. The Bureau recently told us they're still assessing the case. So far, they have not gotten involved. So for now, David Robinson and his team of volunteers continue to search.
I really have faith that somehow God can bless that he's alive somewhere, and I hope so. I am not stopping. He's my son. He's my responsibility. He's a fighter. He never give up on anything. I definitely won't give up on him.
Geologist Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at the College of Charleston.
Good job.
You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink. And now I trust your gentle hand, even when I can't understand. I know your voice, I'm not afraid. Walking with me at the same pace.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And on July the 6th, 2022, I still am in that search for my son. Thank you guys for coming in this evening's Q&A. My name is David Robinson, of course, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. As you know, my son Daniel went missing from his job site, from his work site in the Sonoran Desert of Buckeye, Arizona, last year on June the 23rd. My son, graduate of the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. He's also a South Carolina native. Decided to move out into Arizona to start his career, to reach his heights. that he wanted to achieve in life. Started off with Arizona, a place that he ended up eventually loving. He started his first job, got hired on as a what is called a field geologist, also called hydrogeologist. My son's job entails him going to various well sites all over Arizona to check the viability of those wells, to make sure those wells are producing the 100 years of water that's required by law for those communities, as well as check the rock settlements that's coming out of the water, out of those wells itself. On June 23rd, my son went to 2 well sites. He went to one roughly around 7 o'clock that morning to get some water level checks and things like that. He took some pictures of some logs. From that point, he was traveling, get ready to head out towards the second well site that he was assigned to by his job. He called a worker from a company called Weber, and he called the worker to get directions. According to that worker, my son did call him, get some directions how to get to that area out there, Sun Valley Parkway off of Cactus Road, Sun Valley Parkway out there in Buckeye, Arizona. And as well as once he got to that point, he did get in contact with my son. They met out on the roadway of Sun Valley Parkway. My son followed him into that desert. My son followed him into that desert. They had to go 1 mile west and then another 2 miles north to get to this well site. Once arriving to that well site roughly around 9 o'clock that morning, according to this worker, they had a brief conversation that lasted about 10 minutes. About 10 to 15 minutes after 9, my son decided to hop in his vehicle. In that conversation, waved off to him, hopped in his vehicle, and then was never ever seen again. Almost 30 days later, my son's vehicle showed up here in this ravine that's right here behind me. It's a 20-foot ravine. Looked kind of deceiving in the picture, but it's a 20-foot ravine, almost 3 miles, a little over 3 miles away from that well site, farther out into that desert. On June 20, July the 19th is what the date the vehicle was found by a rancher who was out there searching for his cattle, actually tracking his cattle. His cattle often takes this ravine just to get down to a corral that's south of this ravine. And he came there 2 to 3 days prior to July the 19th, and the vehicle wasn't there. His cattle, according to him, also didn't pass through. So he came back out on July the 19th to track the cattle, and lo and behold, the vehicle was there, according to this rancher. He said because of the way the vehicle, he's a fourth generation cattle rancher, and because of that, he see a lot of things that happen in the desert out there. He see a lot of vehicles that's abandoned and things like that. But he thought with this vehicle, it had something just happened because it was too clean. He said the wheels was too clean. He explained that if you look on the side of me here, there's an area. My orientation's always off. There's an area that runs under the vehicle there. The vehicle's lined across that ravine. There's an area that's where the water flows through. It's a downhill ravine. It's at an incline, so you can't tell from this picture. But water flows. Whenever the monsoon season comes and the heavy rains, a lot of water would rush through that area. One thing he explained to me, that vehicle sitting in that ravine to cross that way would have been acting pretty much like a dam, and it would have collected a lot of the debris. The water would have collected there, and it would have had like a ring around, the roof part of the area of the vehicle, and also it wouldn't look this clean. You can see up under that ravine all the debris from broken sticks to things that breaks off in the desert naturally. That runs in the water down the ravines would have collected there. There's nothing collected there because there was no rain, no significant rain since my son went missing. And there was no significant rain also for that vehicle to have been there that long. So for one thing. The other part is the rancher said, like I said, it wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior, as well as, we know that it wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior to that rancher found it. Probably a lot longer than that, of course. It never was there before the vehicle was found by that rancher. And the reason why, because Buckeye Police Department themselves has searched this area right here, this specific area, hard, diligently, as they would describe it to me and the family, with their Phoenix Firebird, that helicopter they borrowed from the Phoenix Police Department, as well as almost 2 weeks later, on July the 9th. 10 days before this vehicle showed up here, they did a thorough search using Civil Air Patrol guys that they say are very good at tracking things and finding vehicles. Covered this area and the vehicle wasn't there. So we know the vehicle wasn't there, and it was most likely planted there, of course. The common sense would say it was planted there. My son's clothing appeared to be his clothing. Is sitting outside his vehicle. My family and I, we haven't verified it's Daniel's vehicle, his clothing at all. Buckeye Police Department haven't verified it's Daniel's clothing at all. In fact, they didn't do any forensics on those items, so that's why they would never know if those indeed were my son's clothing or something put there to appear to be Daniel's clothing. There was no forensic work done on the scene, no forensic work done on the vehicle outside of the fingerprinting that I requested several days after, a few days after the vehicle was found on July 19th. Like I said, on July 20th, the vehicle was turned over to me, and that's when I ended up requesting and demanding, not just a request and demanding them to do fingerprinting on that vehicle, in which they say they did. So that's the only type of forensics was done on that vehicle, was fingerprinting. I still haven't got any word back on what the findings are on those fingerprinting. I don't see anything in my vehicles in my possession, like I said, given to me the day after it was found, as well as at the vehicle they so-called did the fingerprinting on it. They held it for a few more days to do the fingerprinting, and then immediately had it towed out of there. But as in pictures for inventory, I don't see anything. I don't know what kind of chemicals or dust or anything they use. You cannot tell if any fingerprinting was done on the vehicle at all. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I don't see any indication that it was. The other part is, we have red transfer paint on the vehicle. I had ended up hiring a private investigator who's also an accident reconstructionist who knows about the way vehicles accidents occur. The vehicle itself, as you see in the beginning on the Dateline video, my investigator described how the way the vehicle came down the terrain. There's nothing in that desert that would cause the kind of damage on the sides of the vehicle from his expertise. Coming down that ravine would not cause the kind of damages that's on the vehicle. It wouldn't cause the two impressions on the windshield that has the impression that since somebody took something and tried to bash them in on both sides, two different sides there. They don't have the red transfer, nothing red in the desert. It has nothing red coming down that ravine or in the desert itself where that vehicle could have came in contact with. So it suggests that this first accident that we do know happened based on the black box data happened outside of that desert, outside of this area anyway. The other part is, after doing further analysis of the vehicle, my investigator was able to get the infotainment system sent out to California, get analysis done, something that the police department hadn't done, and got some real data back from that gave us the timestamp of when the vehicle first had its crash, and that was 4 hours after my son went missing. So as we know, the accident happened around 1 o'clock that day, and this vehicle wasn't here 2 to 3 days prior to July the 9th, July the 19th, when the vehicle was found by the rancher. So we do know that the vehicle wasn't there, but we don't know where the initial crash happened. We do know there's 11 additional miles on that vehicle itself. The vehicle after the crash has been driven an additional 11 miles. It's been cranked up over 4 to 6 times after the initial crash. So we have a reason to believe, based on his analysis of the vehicle, his physical examination of the vehicle, looking at the vehicle himself, taking his own examination, doing his own measurements and things like that, found the red transfer paint. After him seeing the vehicle physically touching my son's vehicle, he determined that most likely he looking at it as a staged event as well. So, but the Buckeye Police Department refused to believe that. They don't like the data that he discovered. They went to hire their own private investigator, who's also supposedly be an accident reconstructionist, and he's supposed to be the best according to them. But yet whoever this person is decided not to even look at my son's vehicle, haven't even touched it, haven't even physically examined my son's vehicle for damage to see if, like my investigator says, the damage matched that terrain and all that kind of stuff. But he went by some photographs. If he got into the same photographs that I got from the Buckeye Police Department, who says they gave me everything, those not good, and those are photos are not good enough to make a determination of how this vehicle, the damage got there, and all the damages on the vehicle. Like I told you guys before, the Buckeye Police Department wasn't the one that found the red transfer paint. It was my private investigator. I don't think they even cared to look at it. But like I said, this accident reconstructionist they hired haven't even seen my son's vehicle, never touched it, never physically had any dealings with it, but yet made a full report that's in their police report about my son's vehicle. Something is like a hearsay type deal again, just like the hearsay against about this lady's text messages that we know. But anyway, I'm here this evening to do this Q&A. Could keep going on because I go on the roll, and after you guys can imagine, after a year searching for my son and the frustrations of dealing with the Buckeye Police Department, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of things I do know about my son's case. I have a great idea about what happened. I've still been fighting really hard to get the forensics work done. It's really hard to do because, of course, I'm just not getting the funding I need to be able to do it. And that's just the bottom line. I have to be honest with that. So my efforts now is to try to make sure that I can get my son's case moved over to a different department. My son is a resident of Tempe, Arizona, working behind the scenes to try to get them involved, as well as Maricopa County. My son went missing in Maricopa County. So try to get Sheriff Zone and some of them officials involved in my son's case. It's very important. As you guys can see, I'm laying out the reasons why I don't have any confidence in that department. I don't have no confidence in the department who decided to wait almost 3 days later to go look for my son. So I don't have confidence in that. I don't have confidence in the department who couldn't get cell phone pings to tell me if my son was indeed in that place. My son's phone been ringing, so it was getting cellular service. It's been ringing for almost little over a full day because my family and I, trust me, we were calling his phone back to back, and it would not go dead almost little over entire day before it finally started going straight to voicemail. I'm sure when it died, the battery died. Also, they was unable to give us any kind of information or any kind of footage outside of the one still picture you guys see from, I guess they claiming from a footage off a camera that's on the interstate somewhere in California. But according to the way they taught me and my family, it would suggest that my son had a cloaking device on his vehicle since he been in Arizona, since he left South Carolina, because they have nothing, no kind of footage on the traffic light or anything. According to what they're telling me, that they can't get. There's nothing. They found nothing. They told me where my son ever been driving in Arizona to this date. So I don't have any confidence in them when they can't provide those things. Can't even get we'll put in a report that they obtain records, for instance, cell phone records and bank statements from us. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, I know it says in the report the family provided that stuff. That's a lie. We have never given them any kind of paper, haven't given them anything that suggests from phone records to phone records or bank statements. The only thing they ever did for us towards bank statements, and I told you guys this again, we're sitting in an interrogation room. They had us across the table, and this same as that phone, I was strolling down the phone showing them my son's bank statements and bank stuff, and my daughter was doing the same thing with her phone to show the phone records through her phone, and they call that obtaining records from the family, and I call that BS. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not police work. But it was able to put it in. So that's the thing that I think was been going on since my son been missing. It's called word games. I told you guys before. I can say, hey, I'm looking for somebody to tell me to go in the cabinet and look for that jar, that grape jar. You heard me say this before. Go in that cabinet and look for David. Go in that cabinet and look for this jar of grape jelly. I don't feel like doing it. I'll say, okay, well, I'll go in there and look. I open the cabinet up. I'll look around with my eyes, and I shut it back and say, well, it's not in there. They say, well, did you look in it? Yeah, I looked in. I can literally say I looked. But did you really look? Did you move anything around? Did you really do the work and go find this grape jelly? No. And that's the way the approach that I have seen my son's case been handled from day one. It's this bunch of word games. I had to put up with it. It got so disgusting to me because they gave me a final report. The department gave me a partial report first. Chief Hall gave me a partial report, and he promised me the full report because he said he was done. There was more little leads to follow when the detective finished writing up finished the report. They would give me the full report, and that's the final report. And they gave it to me. I still have it to this day, unredacted report. And then once this thing, I didn't give up as a father, of course. I'm going to still fight for my son. I'm going to try to get my private investigator to do some things, and we're going to find out what happened to my son. Once the pressure came on them from you guys and from the media, from CNN to you name it, Red Table Talk, you name all these people putting all this pressure on that department. That's when they claiming they was doing a investigation. They already said they weren't doing an investigation. They told my investigator they weren't doing an investigation. They gave everything over to me for safekeeping, my son's items to whatever. They was done with my son's case, but now they somehow, like I said, you guys, they start playing these games, these word games to make them appear as if they are doing some real work for my son and really trying to find my son and things like that. But I'm telling you guys, it is far from the truth of that. So that's the type deal that I have to deal with, and I have no confidence in that. I don't have time to play games with any department when my son is missing. If this was their son, they would have never done anything. If it was one of those officers, they had never approached my son's case, their case the way they approached my son's case. So I don't have confidence in them. I need to have my son's case moved over to a different department. So that's the phase I'm in right now. I'm in the phase of getting another department, another agency, someone who can do my son's case correctly. I should have never ended up with my son's that vehicle. I should have never ended up with everything that was on the ground out there. I should have never ended up with the airbags too, you name it. I should have never had to do my own investigation. I should never had to come to you guys begging you for resources, money to do searches. I should have never did over 40 weeks of search. I should have never done over 32 to 35,000 acres out there in the desert looking for my son without law enforcement. So what I'm saying is, you guys, that never happens. That never happens to a family that law enforcement is really trying to help. Because you can imagine, you guys know the case out. I hate keep bringing that case back up. It's a tragedy for that family. But the guy who murdered the young lady, that's the case that went nationally. Could you imagine that family out there doing the much 40 weeks of searches that was? They didn't have to. They had the law. They had the FBI to, you name it. Everybody in that case, everybody you can think of in that case, and they found these people. They found the murderer. He killed himself, but they found these people. There was breaking news. They always had something to talk about, and the reason why they always have something to talk about when these reporters come to me to this date, say, "Hey, what's new? What's new? You got any updates? You got any updates?" I'm not going to have any updates really when I don't have law enforcement on my side. They constantly being on these people's side. They constantly being giving them updates. Hey, we got this going on. We got these cadaver dogs looking for it. We found this and that. Because they always going to have updates because they actually was doing their jobs. So for me, it's a slow moving process. I'm just only one person. I thank God I'll have you guys as support when you're volunteers and people who come on this Q&A who I mean, it's everything you do. Every little thing that you guys do, it means a lot, and it means a lot towards my son's case. It means a lot to me finding my son when you guys sharing the story, to passing out flyers, you name it. So so I'm really relying on you guys. It's really heartbreaking that I'm looking at this thing over a year now, and I'm still here, still trying to fight for my son, still trying to find different ways to make it happen. Still not hearing law enforcement itself, and I tell you, I can't tell you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a law enforcement agency to reach out and say they're going to, reach out and kind of show some empathy. Like I told you, I've seen that from Phoenix as well as Tempe and also the sheriff department. But I want to, for me, that's not enough. It had to be action. For me, I'm not a person who's like lip service. You can tell me one thing and you can say a lot, but then when you stop there, that's when we're gonna have a problem. That's when I have to start speaking out. So you guys, I really am trying to work in the backgrounds. I really am pushing everything I can to get my son's case removed. I need you guys to say the same thing. Whenever you deal the Buckeye Police Department, there's no more having the Buckeye Police. I don't trust anything they do. I wouldn't trust them doing the forensic work on my son's vehicle. I wouldn't trust them any kind of answers they come up with. I wouldn't trust that because they had given me a whole year of no trust. They gave me a whole year of reasons why I shouldn't trust them. So right now, the fact of the matter is I'm really pushing everything I can to try to get this case removed to a different department. And there are departments who can do so. Like I tell you, my son's case being in Maricopa County, as well as my son is a resident of Tempe, and also he's a resident of Arizona, period. So somebody had to do something, and I'm going to really be working hard for that. You guys pray for me on that endeavor, stand in the gap for my son. My son will get the justice that he deserves. Rather rather my son could have, let's say hypothetical, which I know is not true. My son could have went on his own, but he should still been found. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, if a family is as concerned as our family is about my son, we're doing everything we can to make this happen. You guys support. I mean, this thing gained some national attention. You guys, you know what I'm saying? So they should be doing something a lot more, and I'm going to keep pushing. And I don't care when I say they, I don't care. When you got the LE behind your name, law enforcement behind your name, that means you. I mean, I don't care what department you're in, where you from, or anything else like that. Somebody had to make some type of move in my son's case, and I'm going to make sure it happened outside of the Buckeye Police Department. So, all right, now I'm going back to you guys. I know it took a while. I had to get my spiel. My spiel is long, and it's been long since I've been here doing this thing for in Arizona, trying to find my son, as well as fighting for other families. My goal is also to help other families. That's why I founded the Daniel Robinson Foundation, started a 501c3 to be able to help other families. That's my goal. That's what I have to do. It's impossible for me to have a missing son. For you guys to have shown so much love and so much support from you all, from the community, and I cannot give back to the community as well. So I do have a team that helped me put this together. I had a desert team that helped me get all these weeks of searches in the desert. I couldn't do that without them. You guys, you know who you are, who helped me out there in that desert. We kept the searches going as well. I definitely had a lot going on, as well as the city distribution, those who helped me keep that going, coming out, passing out these flyers, making sure that happened. I mean, I couldn't do it alone. So I say when you guys have stepped up to do that, I really appreciate that. Now I have a team who's will be my board members as well, who will be helping me to get the Daniel Robinson Foundation out to help other families. So we're doing all the getting all the resources together, as well as our methods of where we're doing things. So you guys are very important tool to that as well. If you guys want to be a part of the ambassador program, you can by again, you can reach out to me. And I've been saying this for a while. You can reach out to me right here. It's on the bottom. I messed up here, but it's on the bottom of the screen, coming up on the bottom of the screen here. If you guys want to distribute the flyer, help distribute flyers, you can become an ambassador for your city. But you're going to reach me at, or reach the team, myself. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com and let us know your intentions to want to do the ambassador program. I have been kept talking about it for months now. I'm just trying to make sure I still get a number of people before I can really, because I want to have a big Zoom meeting with you all and to kind of give you the ins and outs about it and how it works. And so see if you're interested in doing so. If you think you're interested in it, yes, please reach out. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. Also, you can contact me the same way. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com or the public cell phone 803-200-7994 number. So definitely that's two ways of doing that. If you guys not interested in that and you just want to help anyway, other ways you can help. You can volunteer in other ways tab on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Use that tab there and fill out that form. So your skill says a lot of things we may need coming up with the foundation, as well as my efforts to find Daniel. Also, you can just get the PDF there. There's a PDF tab on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and you can print out these flyers. The flyers look just like this banner behind me, except they have a QR code on it. And the way I do it, my team, at this point, we just need the flyers out there. But I can say that I had the flyers designed a certain way on purpose. The flyer was the size of a postcard. And the reason why I decided to do that, because when I was passing them out to the homeless population, I thought about it, where they're going to put it. People's not going to hold a big sheet of paper in their hand and walk around all day with this. They'll hold it for that moment, and then they get rid of it. They toss it because it's too much to carry around. They may post it up on something, but nobody's going to have a stack of them and keep them. So I made them smaller size. People ask for a stack of them. They ask for a bunch of them, as well as they can put them in their pocket, their pocketbooks, or whatever the case may be, carried around. It has a QR code on it. And for people to use the QR code, if they don't have enough flyers, for instance, somebody, hey, I want to show you the story, and the person can use their phone and pull up the website. So all of that works out. Has been planned that way. And but the whole bottom line right now is my goal is to try to just get Daniel's story out far as I can, because I'm always reaching that one person who may know something who may have heard something. So again, if you know anything about my son disappearance, please utilize this the tip line right here on the bottom of the screen. That number is, like I said, is a service that I pay for. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week tip line. You can remain anonymous. You can remain anonymous. Very courteous. People answer your phone, they allow you to do so. Again, you all know where I'm going at next. If you don't want to talk to anybody, you can just text the word tip to that number and you can still remain anonymous if you like. I can still encourage you, if you have to, use a burner phone to do all of that because you make it feel extra secure, then you can do that as well. But I can tell you, when you're anonymous through that tip line, you're very much anonymous. I wouldn't know who you are. Nobody, my investigator, anybody, law enforcement wouldn't know who you are. So you can use that to bring some closure to me and my family. What we're trying to do is find my son, and you can bring some closure, especially if you know something. You cannot keep that. You cannot take it to the grave. That's something you just don't take to the grave with yourself. That's something you clear your conscience about. That's something you definitely, just try to help another family, help a family out, to show some type of humanity or empathy or something that's beyond yourself, above yourself, to do the right thing. So the person who's hearing my voice and who knows something, because generally people who do know what happened or somewhat involved in things like this, generally do come to things like what I'm doing here, the Q&A, or out to my searches and things like that. So you see what I'm doing. You see I'm out here doing everything I can as a father. And if you're a father as well, you can understand that. Doing everything I can as a father to try to find my son. And I'm not just letting this go. You know what I'm saying? I'm really, really pushing it hard. And it's hard. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's very hard. It's been over a year now. Here it is, July the 6th. My son went missing on June 23rd last year. It's over a year, and I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting. I'm still here because it's you guys, your support and things like that. So thank you so much. I want to say thank you everybody who coming in to the Q&A this evening, to this primetime Q&A. I will have a family member on, a young man, his son missing. He has a 14-year-old son. I hope I get it right. Missing, and he's gonna share his story here. So hopefully on the next Q&A or before, I may do a special episode, or what we want to call this, for that family. But I definitely want to do it my part, like I said, to help this family get the word out. We did speak with Sherry the last time, her and her mother situation. You guys remember her. I did put that on the other Q&As. I don't know if you guys who was there this morning, the city Q&A, but we did have Sherry on here, Sherry Snyder, talking about her mother's case. You can contact her if you do remember her story, and I do have it right there. It's Missing Diane Francis. You can Google it. It's on the bottom of the screen as well. You can Google Missing Diane Francis, and that information will come up about that case. But I can tell you, Sherry Snyder has been working very hard to find her mother. That's something a young lady have to go through. I don't know how it is to lose a parent, but that's rough. I mean, it is mentally rough. I can imagine my mother missing. Saying that, God forbid that ever happened. That had to be rough for a young lady and her sister to endure. So she's working very hard. You guys have any kind of information about Sherry Snyder, you look it up, and you see anything you may know about her case, some information, say something as well. If you don't know how to get in contact with her or whatever, and you do know something, you can also use that tip line of mine as well, and say, hey, this is about the Sherry Snyder thing. I think she wouldn't mind me saying that. I'm not saying that's when you direct this your inquiries to. You should try to find out where to give the tip to, but I'm saying all else fails, I feel free to use mine as well. I don't mind the tip line for anonymous. If you want to be anonymous, you want to get some kind of information. But this is a mother here, Diane Francis, of course, like I said, Sherry's mother, and also one of the pictures that she's given me to describe how she may look now. So you guys have any idea that she went missing out of Florida? So you guys have any information like that, you can like I said, reach out to Sherry. Her information is there. You can reach out to her at ssnyder0615@gmail. And hey, I'm sure she'll give you all the information you need about her mother, the flyers and things like that as well. You know what I'm saying? So her mother have little. That's when I guess her sister Sherry was little with the mother. So Just things like this. Keep that in mind. That this is a family, a young lady who's hurting, and she is. Like I said, I talk to people all the time, and they don't forget. They don't move on like some people would say. I had someone ask me after 3 months, Daniel going missing. Hey, Dave, you're gonna be? How long will you be out there searching for Daniel? I mean, that's a question you don't. Well, that's a question that is something that don't come in a person's mind, especially a parent, and that's your child. That wasn't a thought I even had. In 3 months, I couldn't even imagine even considering that in my mind to stop looking for Daniel. So look at Sherry. She's been doing it for years, and she's still searching for her mother. So if you guys can give her support, it's still painful. Like I said, it's painful for me and my family, and it's been a year. You can imagine what this young lady's going through with her mother, her and her sister, what they're going through with the mother missing. So please pray for her and her family, and also if you can, like I said, support them as well. So again, thank you for that. You guys coming in on this Q&A. I'm trying to get to where I can start get some of these questions. You have any questions, please put the word question there first before your question, or big capital letter Q, or some question marks or something like that I can see as it comes down. I want to say thank you to everybody. I wish I could go down and thank everybody individually, but I want to just say thank you all for being here. So I'm trying to get a few people, but I'm trying to find the questions. If you guys have any questions, Carolyn, thanks so much for being here. Hello, David and family, and the A team. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And I hope you had enjoy yourself and your trip. And I'm glad that you made it back safely. And thank God you made it back safely. And you're back. So hopefully get to see you really soon. God bless you for being here on this Q&A. Thank you again. All right. Thank you again, Carolyn. All right. Thank you, Laura, for being here as well. Thank you for your prayers. We really need that. Thank you, Leslie, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your prayers coming off Facebook. Thank you, Amber, for being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lola, for being here as well. Hashtag please help find Daniel. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Frida, thank you for being here as well. Thank you for coming out into the Q&A. Right. And thank you. Say here, I got Rachel Arnold. Thanks so much. Good evening to you, as well as Shannon. Thank you so much for you coming out. Cha Cha B. I may say your name multiple times, but thank you. Thank you, Cha Cha B. Thank you guys for your support. I really thank you for your support. That makes me smile. I see people show up and support. I know some of you hear some of the same things over and over and over again, but you know what? I'm hoping that your support and your sharing will help new people come on who have never heard of Daniel's story. So I have to say those things because they don't know what's going on with Daniel's case, and they need to hear these things, these repetitive things about Daniel's case. So thank you for bearing in with me and just being the support, keeping those numbers up on the algorithm, and keeping this channel moving forward. Thank you, Seneca, for being here. I really appreciate good evening to you and your family. Thank you so much for being here as well. All right. Thank you, Tracy, for being here. Thanks so much. Thank you, Frida, for being here. I really appreciate you as well for being here this evening. Thank you also, Denise. Thank you so much for being here as well off of Facebook. All right. I do have a question here. Appeared to be a question here from Tracy. And thank you, Tracy, for those question marks there so I can see that. You guys, if you guys have any questions, please, like I said, do like Tracy did here. Or you can put a big question mark there or the word question first in all caps or something like that before your question. Then I can find them, because right now I'm just saying thank you guys for coming in, but I'm going to try to scroll down really fast on the comment section so I can easily see your question. All right. I do have one here. Thank you, Tracy, for the question. Does the rancher have ranch hands to help with the cattle? Yes, he does. Well, I don't know what he have, but I know according to what he told me and my investigator the day when he found my son's vehicle, he had help. He said his workers were there with him when the vehicle was found. They was tracking the cattle in this ravine here, and the vehicle was there. He said because it looked so fresh, he thought it just literally just happened. He and his workers was out yelling for the person to come back to the vehicle. They thought it was, just left or whatever. He's looking for the person, right? Kind of yelling out, but then he looked at the vehicle and he said, well, he just started to remember something he saw on the local channel, that the vehicle was matching this way this vehicle looked, was on the local news. And that's when he called it in to the Buckeye Police Department. They asked for the tags of the vehicle, gave them the tag number, and then they said, yep, that's the vehicle they were looking for. And that's my son's vehicle. But yes, he did describe that he had some workers, because one of the workers, he said he sent to the front gate to direct the, they had to wait almost 2 hours, I think a little over 2 hours for them to show up, but they had to direct the officers down to this location where the vehicle was found. So that's the kind of thing I was told. So, yes, they did have some workers there. All right. I do have one from, well, thank you, Tatia. Thank you so much for being here. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for also putting that up, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you putting that there as well. Definitely. You guys, if you can, do that, because that help with the algorithms to get this channel to grow. And so definitely needed to grow, get out there farther, and make sure that other people somebody who need to hear about Dan's story can get to actually hear that. And so just want to make sure that that happens. So thank you so much for putting that up there. I really appreciate that. Looking out for me on that behalf. You guys, like I said, if you have any questions as well, don't forget to put the word question there first, along with the or some question marks or something like that to help me find you. So thanks so much. And thank you, Ann. I just want to put that up real quick. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Ann, for being here for the support. I'm telling you guys, when you come in, I really appreciate that, because I need all the support I can. I need a voice. One thing my uncle said to me when I first came out here, I'll never forget. I have an uncle from Pennsylvania who said to me, David, the power's in the people, right? The power's in the people. You have people that'll have your back. It's like he first foresaw us and say, you're going to have people that have your back, like you were saying there. You're here to support, and you have people that have your back, and they're going to support, and that's where the power at. So make sure you keep that power, and make sure, because the power is in the people. And I believe that. I've seen that I wouldn't have never been able to just constantly. You guys don't know how many flyers have been put out so far, thousands upon thousands of flyers, hours and hours of desert stuff out there, hours of efforts. Just even living in Arizona. All this happened because you guys have been supporting and kept keeping me moving, keeping me here, keeping me in Arizona, keeping me in the fight for my son. So and everything I need, I asked you guys to go out and put pressure on that Buckeye Police Department to do more. You guys have done that. They haven't done that, but you guys have been putting that pressure on there to get them to put things out as if they did. But then you also helped me by signing, putting your voice to petition to what I'm asking for right now is to demand that my son's case be moved to a different department. So that's what I'm going for right now. And I'm grateful for your support. Your support always make things happen. So I hear people say, hey, man, I've been reaching out to these people, been writing these letters. All that stuff is important. So when you guys do that, yes, thank you so much. I'm really, 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 really happy with you guys. And like I said, for what you just said, you're here to support. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you. Tracy, again, you have a question here. Thanks so much for your question. Very stumped where Daniel's Jeep was found was for almost a month. Not a small item to hide. And yeah, and that's the thing. The Buckeye Police Department do everything they can, in my opinion, to make my son wreck this vehicle there. Like I'll tell you, they want to ignore the rancher story. That's why when you see it, he'll say, oh, the rancher found the vehicle. You see that in the report, but you won't hear his testimony, his statement that we have as well. He said he'll go to court behind what he got. So they don't even have that backing in the report. They don't believe their own search. They're making excuses because when you start asking questions, okay, well, if the vehicle was there, why you didn't find it in a certain, they'll say, oh, because they came out on the news. Oh, because it's so thick and lush and the greenery is so thick. You guys, I wish I had a photo I should have put up. I'll put up on next Q&A. I'm gonna take their pictures, by the way. Their pictures of their drones, and they had no helicopters. They claim. The guy even told me they didn't have that, but they claim they did. They didn't use a helicopter or cadaver dogs and all. They had one dog, but that's another story. But the whole point is, after the fact, now that I'm saying my investigator saying the vehicle wasn't there from evidence, from physical and tangible as of evidence. Their excuse is, oh, they couldn't see the vehicle is hidden down in the ravine because they supposed to be in helicopters now and using drones and all the stuff, and on foot and drive. Cause I'd be driving, I could see what's going down this ravine on the top of the hill. They're claiming all of that in a low brush, and I promise you guys, you can probably look at this picture in a good way. This picture right behind this representation of Daniel here, that brush probably come up to my chin. That whole area is like that. You might find one tree that might be a little tall on the taller side. When I say tall, probably about 4 feet taller than I am, or something like that. A few of them like that. Just barely. This area right here is kind of dry. It's not close enough to the Hassayampa River, so it's not a lot of water. Consistency there, and the vegetation that grows there. And this desert, you see how dry it is behind me. That vegetation is dry. It's not no leaves or something that's covering something up. So don't get fooled. It's so dry and so. You can see the ground. You see everything. You can see anything. So it's impossible to miss this vehicle when they say they did this thorough search and things like that. So, but they come out to say, hey, no, it was there for 30 days and almost 30 days, and we just missed it because it's so thick. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're trying to come up with. And on 2 searches, they said they did. Now, so the thing is, I'm saying is they're doing everything they can, in my opinion, to try to force this vehicle to be there for 30 days. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. And I don't get that part of it. So why is that when you have physical evidence to say otherwise? You have a testimony from the guy who found it that says otherwise, based on their own searches that suggests it wasn't there. Otherwise, the 11 additional miles that was on the vehicle after the first NIST crash. Otherwise, the red transfer paint on the side of the vehicle with nothing red in the desert suggests otherwise. And they still want to go against all the physical evidence and all the tangible evidence that's go by their theory that my son did this himself. And he planned it. Now, he had a brain injury, kicked his way out, and the brain injury, he walking around the desert naked. He did all of that just to get away from his family, join the monastery, and become a monk. So they want us to just sit down with this story and say that's the end of the story and stay that way. And that's the reason why I tell you guys they would not be handling my son's case in alone. They did so much damage to it as well. If a person did come clean about something, it'd be a hard time in court because of their actions. And for right now, so right now, yes, definitely don't want them to do any more damage to my son's case at all. So thank you, Ruthie Player. I see your comment here. I know this is not a question, but you say hello, this to all from South Carolina, sending prayers and positive thoughts for Daniel. I really appreciate that you coming in, first of all, to the Q&A, but I did happen to see the word South Carolina as I was coming out of the comment section. I wanted to see what it's about. So thanks so much for joining in, Ruthie. I really appreciate you being here. I do have a question here from Rachel. Thank you, Rachel Arnold, for being here this evening on this Q&A. Your question is, have you seen any movement from Phoenix officials? Not yet. But, I can say, like I told you guys, for now, I'm at this point where I'm trying my best to get other agencies involved in my son's case. So I'm taking that delicately, meaning that, yes, I went to the I told you guys before, I went to the city council meetings, and from that city council meeting, I saw a big difference. I did go to the Phoenix city council first, and man, it's a total opposite direction opposite feeling and everything else that came from when I went to the one and the two. I went twice to the city council meeting in Buckeye. Total change. I tell you what, there's a difference between, you can tell the demographics, and you can tell the certain changes from 40 miles away. You got 40 miles in that area going out west, away from Phoenix, and you can tell the consistency of people that like to be in those areas, obviously, and the ones who are their officials and the way they treat you and things like that. So all that changes when you start coming back east. And I can say when I got to Phoenix, though Phoenix have their problems, you guys know, I've seen it. When I first came to Arizona last year, they had the Justice Department down. My son was part of the Black Lives Matter, what they call it, the Black Lives Matter protest. That's what they call it. And my son, I was proud of him. He went through the protest against police brutality, what happened to George Floyd at the time. And I'm proud. I was kind of a little tired. I wanted to be there with him. I was on the phone with him out there. I could hear the people in the background. I'm like, look, I wish I was out there. I'm proud of my son. He's standing up for something that he believes in. I believe in as well, against police. I'm pro-police, but I'm against police brutality. I'm a victim of police brutality. and I would fight against police brutality any day, especially that among black men. You know what I'm saying? We getting killed just menacingly by police. So of course, we definitely, I was proud of my son doing that, but I did see Phoenix have an issue with retaliation. They had these officers retaliating. They was getting charging people. It could have been Daniel, a geologist, scientist who ain't don't even own a gun, haven't done any crime, don't have a speeding ticket, but they would have called him a gang member just because he's black. So that type deal. I seen that when I first got here, and one of the biggest concerns about with the activists that's here, with my son having been missing, and he did an interview with the local news during the Black Mass through that protest, and he ended up going missing. So one of the biggest things was they was worrying about some type of retaliation on that part as well, because we did have some Phoenix officer, what I understand, did go retaliate and start something with somebody who happened to be black, live out in near Buckeye. So some of those things was concerning for me at the time. I didn't know too much enough about it. So they did have their problems. But I'm saying is when I went to that city council meeting, there's a big difference. The city council very responsive. One of the council members was trying to help from the panel, and he couldn't do it because the city attorney, of course they had their rules. But afterwards, the mayor, city manager, the city manager, as well as some other officials came to make sure they spoke to me. The police chief reached out to me, his people, so they wanted to have a little meeting with me and discuss some things. So that's what I was told, and that's the beautiful part. Like I told you guys, the way they welcomed me and the way they treated me, it goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? It goes a long way with a family, make you feel okay. But I said again, I'm going back to the same thing. I still like to see actions behind words. So, but then I went to Tempe as well, the same thing, same kind of reception. I talked to the mayor. I did speak to him one time before, but I spoke to the mayor again. And also, like I said, they was very receptive and very eager to help much as they can. It just didn't even listen. That's the whole biggest part. Just like Sheriff Bazone went to go visit his office as well, the Maricopa County, and just sat there and listen. Just want to hear what you have to say and write down. I saw the system, just writing down notes and everything else. So I'm very receptive, different kind of attitude, different kind of experience, and what I think police should be more geared towards, hey, your citizens. Hey, you try to help them as much as you can. Try to do what you got to do, and really make a family feel comfortable. And they did that. Those three departments did that. Only thing that's going left now is action. So I can hear me personally. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy to babysit people's feelings. First of all, I don't babysit police feelings and things like that. They're grown men. They're grown men, and you got a job to do. Your feelings don't mean nothing to your job. So definitely want to make sure my son get the justice he deserves, and they need to do whatever they can to make sure my son get that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'll be calling for. That's what I'll be working hard for, is to not babysit feelings, not babysit emotions, or try to make somebody look good and kiss up on them or whatever the case may be. I don't do that. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a father. I'm a ex-military guy, and I just don't play those kind of games. I don't have the energy, the time, and the mindset to be able to play around with these guys. They people just like me and you, and definitely need to do their job. That's just the bottom line. But when it comes to my son or anybody, any other family, that's the reason why I'm really fighting for other families too. But my first priority, I had to take care of my son. You got to take care of your own household. I can't be a deadbeat. I'm not a deadbeat father. My priorities are to my own first, and then I help others. So that's where I'm at right now, you guys. So definitely thank you for your question there. Phoenix, as in your question, yes, that movement was them reaching out to me, but I'm going to see where it goes from that point. All right. Thank you, Mr. Farmer, for being here. Thanks for being part of the board and everything else you're doing. Thank you so much for all your help. I'm glad you be here also supporting this Q&A as well. Thank you, Vanilla Hudson. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for exposing how the cops conduct missing persons cases. Yes, and I know that's not a question, but it's a nice comment, and you're right. This whole thing. I mean, when I think about it like this, I haven't even considered in my mind that one of my children will go missing.
here I am, a retired military guy. I never forget that day when I got the message. I was out on my back porch, just taking the air in, looking at television, had a cigar, and just enjoying myself. And I know my children are doing well. Proud of them. They're expanding their horizons, doing what they do. Things we talked about since they was kids. They all are scientists. Got a marine biologist, archaeologist, and a geologist, and also a computer engineer major. So the thing was, one of those type deals where you just living like where you think like, look, they're doing well, you okay, everything's fine, and then you get that phone call, and then it changes up everything, right? And one thing when you're a family member is, for me, you can tell I'm not a person that's going straight up and go start panicking. I like to do my due diligence first, right? And every family does that. They know what's the difference between their loved one if they're missing or they're not missing. So after I realized that Daniel was missing for over 6 hours, yeah, that's way out of character for Daniel. So of course, that's when the concerns start kicking in. I'm 1,000, 2,000, over 2,000 miles away from my son. I mean, what really I can do other than make phone calls? That's when you rely on the police department to do it for you, right? That's their job. Go do it for you. That should have never been a point where I tell them, "Hey, look, it's been over 6 hours. This is unusual for my son. Not from Arizona. He never been in the air before, according to his company. He never been assigned it for that. His first time out there, and this person said he just drove, and and understand the same thing. A lot of things. I've never mentioned that Daniel was born with one hand, but the whole point is, after all those parameters and the fact that I just say, hey, look, this not is out his character. He wouldn't do this. Can you please go look for my son? There should have never been a resistance there. Like, well, he's a grown man. He's going to disappear. He can't live on his own. That should have never came out of the officer's mouth, telling the family, assumptions of their own, something figment of their own imagination. They come in their own brain without any facts or evidence. If they say they want to be fact and evidence based, you should never ever make a statement like that or make a move based on your own feelings or what you think. No, it should go back with a family thing. And they went out of their way to go talk to invisible coworkers so they can put in a report. The coworkers with S said that he was acting strange and odd. I went to his company. Again, I'll tell you guys, he's a field geologist. He's out in the field. He don't even barely come to the office. They wouldn't have been able to have time to observe him for days. He ain't working on. He no office guy working behind the desk. He's a field geologist. He come in every blue moon to drop off. And they say most times field geologists, they don't even see him because they come through a back door, drop this on the table, and they're gone. They don't even get to see these guys. So they'll see him, one of the workers who they did talk to. Of course, I can't dispute his story because him and Daniel are friends. They off the job friends, and so that type deal. But other than that, these other co-workers, they come. That's why you don't see a name. You'll see one person name because that's the only co-worker they talk to. But they put co-workers in their report. Like I said, you guys, they play these word games. Yes, I do expose BS. I expose BS, and you're not gonna do that with my son. There's a lot of missing people out here in this country, and that was some of the reasons why. Because stuff, this BS that comes on in the police department. I'm a military guy. I served in Afghanistan twice, 2 tours in Afghanistan, and one of my biggest enemies was Osama bin Laden, and they found him in another country, right? Pakistan, the neighboring country to Afghanistan. They found somebody else in another country who have all kind of ways to hide himself. But then you can't find my son who's been missing for a year now. With all this technology in 2022, they don't want to. They don't want to spend the money. So, to me, that's the same thing. Like I say, my priorities are first. They go find somebody else, but their priority is not in the right place because, my priority is to my son first, and then I help other families. And that's what, unless you're a deadbeat, that's what you do. And that's a deadbeat move for this country to be able to allow thousands of people be missing without trace. And with the technology that we have, you tell me you can't get a cell phone ping, you can't get the Uconnect information off this vehicle, you couldn't get, all that, can't get a picture off of, man, I guarantee if I run that light and they have a picture, they'll send in the mail with me smiling through my own windshield probably, smiling, going through the light. Oh, that's you right there. You ran through, and when nobody else driving, you was driving, that type deal. So they can do what they want to do. It is one of those things that, like I said, people play games, but they're not going to play games with my son. I'm going to fight with every breath I got to fight for my son's honor and his respect and everything else that goes along with it. Because this will make me angry and more angry
the more I think about it, the BS that goes along with policing when you're trying to find your missing loved one. They should be helping more than anything. So, all right. Anybody else have any questions? Please put the word question there before you question. Thank you, She Rose Nation. I'm glad to see you here. Put the word question for your questions or question marks and things like that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, She Rose Nation. You asked a lot of good questions. I really appreciate that. You being here as well. And good evening to you as well. Thank you, Gwen. This is my sister, you all. Well, really my cousin, but might as well call her my sister. We grew up in the same house. But I'm glad to see you here, Gwen. Thanks so much for being here. I love you and thank you for coming in and help. So and we will find Daniel and it will happen. And I thank you and the family for having my back. So, all right. Thanks for being here. And again, you guys, this is my cousin Gwen. Thank you so much for being here. Love you, girl. All right. All right. Let me see if anybody have any questions. Please put the word question there first for your question, like Rachel did here. Here we go. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your question. Thanks for being here. First of all, being here to support this Q&A. I'm really grateful for you being here. The question is, do you feel that the situation with the woman was just a convenient distraction? I just don't see anyone throwing their life away after a night of drinks and a few texts. It's two ways of looking at that. I'm not gonna. But for me, I don't take anybody out of the equation. I don't care if you're the police. I don't care if you the mailman or whatever the case be. I don't take anybody out of the equation because I'm doing an investigation of my own. Everybody's suspect to me. Everybody who came in contact with my son, everybody involved is a suspect to me, right? However, at the same time, I go by the available information that I do have, and I can say part of that is to me is a distraction from them not searching for my son. Now, the way I take it, when this young lady came up in this report, is something they allowed to happen. This officer literally let this lady upload her own stuff. They didn't go and got a warrant. They'll get her phone and distract this information out of her cell phone, or she gave her cell phone to them, and they took it to the police department, and they took the text messages off her phone and put it up in the report. No, this lady put her own text messages up there. First of all, that's hearsay. The other part is once my son's phone was returned to me from the Buckeye Police Department for safekeeping, it was missing a memory card. I'm sure all the pictures that had that young lady on it, whatever her and that my son was doing amongst themselves, as well as his location. All that was stripped away out the phone, his Google search history, all that stuff. Any kind of way to tracking him, his movements, or anything he was searching or whatever case, it'd be all that wiped out the phone, as well as her any pictures of her. Only thing was still there is his her name and her cell phone number, right? All that stuff was there, but then they took the statement and try to give this narrative. You think about this big narrative that they want out there. The narrative is my son some kind of way met this girl and he got so depressed, like you were saying here, so depressed about one woman. Now, my son been seeing women since he's a young man since college. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those college boys who had college experience. I just put it that way. He with his friends. He's part of a fraternity. That kind of college life. So he's not a stranger to young ladies, right? So what I'm saying is he's supposed to, and he never mentioned 2 days before he went missing, me and him have our 2-hour conversation, never ever used the word love, never ever described that he's all head over heels over this woman. But somehow that narrative is put there that he was so hanging up over her. And then not only that, the way they worded these things and put it together, ignoring facts and ignoring the fact that my son's phone been wiped of whatever conversation they had, the real conversation. And outside that, the text message don't match her text message and the amount of text message I'm saying they have. We can't see what they're saying, but we know that the amount don't match the numbers of text messages between those two. And after all of that, they want us to believe that he was so hung up on this woman that he was stalking her. First of all, they tried to villainize him. The way I took it, they want him to be villainized, like he's a stalker, and he's not a brilliant scientist. He's a stalker guy who's strung out on some woman that he ended up spending. Yeah, he did. He told me himself he spent the night. I was mad at him. You don't spend the night over a woman's house. You just know. You don't get with somebody like that when you first meet them, and you spend the night over the house. but he wanted to be so strung out, right? So supposed to be so strung out over this woman that he wanted to end his life, or he was wanting to get away from his family and just uproot his career. He just built his computer, and he's really proud. I'm supposed to be seeing that, supposed to be seeing the vehicle for the first time. He even made plans to go hiking with his sister that weekend. So he threw all that away over one woman, and somehow stalking her and all this kind of stuff. So the way I look at it, all of that was put there in for that reason, to really I call it character assassination, because when that reporter came to me when I first heard about it, came to me that they put it in a report. The police already talked to me about it. When they put it in a report that way, the way they put it in, it was highlighted, and she didn't highlight it, they highlighted it. They gave it to her just like that, so they can put it out, report it out to the media. Oh, he was in love with a woman that he didn't know. The type thing. It became some kind of headline or something, or somehow or the other during the time. And I saw it as character assassination. We cannot have, and I don't like to bring race into a lot of things, but it's the truth. Whenever there's a young black male, somehow we have to be villainized first, and we're the victims. We'll be the victims, but some kind of way they'll try to find a way to make you a villain. You're the villain. You're the villain person to your own whatever happened to you, right? And so they try to make her the victim somehow, and my son's the one that's missing. So that type deal. So it took a lot of me. It took a lot of restraint as a father, me trying to find my son, to try to ignore those type things. But yeah, I think it was first of all, it was a lot of distractions as well. But the distraction ain't the way you're thinking of. Distraction was to make him a villain. It wasn't a distraction to say, hey, definitely, hey, don't look at me not going to search for his son. It was a distraction to say, you guys don't look at that he's missing. Look at he's the villain, and he went to go off himself or something like that. He might did it to himself, or some kind of way, in a small sense, deserve it in a way, that type deal. So that's the way I looked at it. That's the way it came off on me. That's the way it was given to me. When I saw that yellow, and that reporter came to me with that yellow highlight, I thought she did it. No, they gave it to her that way. It's highlighted in yellow in that little section there about this girl. So that type deal, that's just a character assassination. And I'm not going to really, I'm not going to fall for that. Like I was saying, I'm not a person who's going to just throw out all the evidence or any kind of suspicions. I'm looking at everything. There's a lot to look at. I'm just one guy. You got departments that's supposed to have detectives and these people working in this department to do an investigation. I'm on one person, and it take them sometimes a year to get answer to certain things. You can imagine how long it's taking me, and I don't even have the funding. I don't have the funding for this vehicle to get forensically done yet, and all the stuff, and I'm still trying. So it'll take me a lot longer, but you know what? But the evidence and things I do have, my timeline, as well as some other things I found out when I finally got some things off my son's phone, for instance. A lot of those things will tie in together, and you guys would know the outcomes of those as well one day in the future, whenever I do get all the available help I really need to close everything. I do understand and know what happened to my son. All right. Thank you so much, Helen, Rachel, for being here. Thank you so much, Helen, for being here as well. I really appreciate you being here and helping out. And you look familiar to me, but thanks so much for being here off the YouTube side. Thank you for your kind words and things like that. Yes, we definitely are parents. I mean, well, I don't know if you're a parent or not, but I know any parent, and if you are a parent, you'll understand what I'm saying, will fight for your child. I mean, my son is 25 years old now, but he's still my son. He's still a young man for me. And I'm not gonna look at him. He's a grown man. I look at him grown man. I'm proud of his grownness, and he was taking care of himself, and he had a little car that he practiced all the things I taught him as a boy, him and his brother, to fix on the vehicle and stuff. And he was fixing his own vehicle until he bought this vehicle, and he's really proud of it. I mean, he just has so much pride. He built his own computer and stuff like that. I'm a computer engineer major as well, and he was calling me right before he went missing and talk about the computer he just built. He built it so he can use it instead of using his work laptop. Some reason he wanted to use his own computer, and he built this thing, and he's really proud of it. It glows and all kind of stuff it does. And you trying to tell me after all of that he want to go decide in that kind of mode, decide they want to disappear? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. It's not. It didn't make sense. So, all right. If anybody have any more questions, I'm coming down. Like Carolyn said here, if you guys can put the word question there before you question, or use the question marks, or capital letter Q,
That'll help me see it as I'm coming down. Thank you, Carolyn, for highlighting that and putting that out in the chat. So I really appreciate that as well, for you doing that. All right. I do have one from Helen. I believe this is a question. I see a question mark here. Can we get the DOJ to look at this form from a civil right angle? And I'm working on that, Helen. I'm really, because I am going revisiting some of that language things that was given to me at the beginning. Sometimes to get answers, you have to start at the beginning. And I'm at the process now. I'm going at the beginning. I have so much I've been writing down, so much stuff I've been keeping, and special recordings. I told that detective, and you saw how red he turned in his face when he told my daughter. He literally told me and my daughter to break in Daniel's apartment because we couldn't get involved. Just you can go get in there, but don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? Don't get caught. That's literally he told me. I told him, when I was sitting in that interrogation room, me and my daughter, and I said, yeah, I recorded everything. He said, you recorded everything? I said, yeah, I recorded everything. It's one part of the state in there, Arizona. And he got up with his red face and walked on the other side of somewhere he did, and he came back. But you know what? I let them know. They know I do. They know I do. You will not find me going to any of their meetings. When I went to that meeting with Chief Hall and the rest of them, and I had a witness there with me as well, I'll never go anywhere to handle official business without having my own records as well, especially on a phone call. So they know that. They know that. They know that. They know that I told them that up front. So it's not something I kept a secret. They know that, So I definitely keep my things there. But the point is, I'm saying the civil rights part, I had to go back to the beginning, and definitely, yes, I'm definitely looking into that. The timing that my son went missing as well, as the area that he went missing, and the way that this department has been handling my son's case. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm looking into. I would like to have the DOJ and department to look into Buckeye. I guarantee they'll find all kind of things in that department. So I would love them to go down in that department and look. And I will be trying to advocate and trying to push for that kind of pressure, or that kind of light, put that kind of spotlight. This is the city that's supposed to be growing. This city is supposed to be growing, supposed to be becoming one of the fastest cities, growing cities in the United States, and especially Arizona. And then here it is. They have a Mayberry type police department. So, yeah, something need to be looked into on that department as well. All right. All right, here, guys. This thank you, Choose Wisely, for your question as well. Are you able to touch on what you believe happened to Daniel? I would like to, but I'm still trying to do my own little thing. I just say like this: I believe foul play happened. I just leave it simple, plain as that. I do believe foul play happened. I do believe that my son's vehicle was. I mean, with evidence, I know my son wasn't here. Vehicle was there for over 30 days. I know that most likely it'll end up turning out that's not his clothing. I know that the red transfer paint came from somewhere outside of the desert. And I do know some of the some things I tell you guys. I do have some information that suggests a lot. So yeah, I have my opinions about that. I believe foul play happened. I can leave like that. As in believe what happened. I'm going to just keep following what information that I do have that I've gotten so far from what I can gather. And all that I need really now is to try to get this forensics work done that kind of put people places they need where they are, and then put things where it need to be, and then that way we can make a total conclusion about everything. So definitely, yeah, I've been working on it hard. So it's been hard trying to juggle doing my investigation. Well, listen to my private investigator to wishing I had police department's help, but to try to be able to do all of that. And then that's all you guys see. I'm doing this Q&As to flyer distribution, going to events, to trying to help other families by building up this foundation, to, you name it. So it's a lot of things moving out all the time. So sometimes even with this trying to do an investigation part of myself personally, because I have to, I'm a father, and that kind of move kind of slow because I'm trying to do too many things at one time. But definitely I'm stuck until I get this forensic work completed. I can go a little farther trying to find more information out, but I think I can get a lot more information once I get this forensics on the vehicle itself completed. It'll get done and completed. So, all right. Thank you so much, Choose Wiley, for your question. I have a question here from Nancy Stevens, Bolton. Thanks so much for being here off the Facebook side. You have a question: have you or your attorney attempted to ask
the FBI to investigate Daniel's case? Yes, we have. And what do you feel about the FBI that is now working the Dylan Rounds case in Utah? Oh, wow, I didn't know that. One thing I can say is it's disgusting. A couple of things, that's the reason I can say. And it's, one of the questions were about my son's civil rights and things like that being violated. I do know when the detective told me he moved my son's vehicle, and I do have him recorded on that, saying he took my son's phone off that scene and put it in his back pocket. Nobody had access to. I asked about why my son's memory card was missing, and so he told me he cloned it. They cloned the phone, right? And I didn't know you could clone a phone. First of all, they said they had no criminal investigation. I didn't know you could clone a phone when without a judge approval on that, I guess, without getting a warrant, as well as that violated my son's civil rights. So we're looking into that part of it. The other part is you asked a question about the having my attorney attempted to ask the FBI. Yes. Well, not straight to the FBI. I asked them myself. I called them and tried to get them in. They told me, of course, they had to be invited in by the Buckeye Police Department. They said they just can't come in the cave. They had to be asked by the Buckeye Police Department. So, of course, I did ask them myself. I didn't know the ins and outs, the legal ways to do a thing. So, long story short, Nancy, I ended up writing a long letter, right, to everything I've done in the Buckeye at that point when I asked, as well as pointing out the facts. What I use on what Chief Hall said out on the CNN interview as a basis as well. My son went missing, and he went missing on what they call a suspicious circumstances, right? And they called it suspicious circumstance, and because Chief Hall said it on CNN interview he did, right? You guys probably seen it here on this Q&A. And he said highly suspicious, right? And it don't make sense. So make a long story short, they can't find the answers. They claim that my son had a severe head injury, and they saying that he was undressed all the way down from socks and underwear, walking out in the. You guys can feel that terrain. Ain't nobody human foot can ever make that a little distance. And then the heat, 118, 120 degree weather. So, but anyway, I put the letter together to say that my son went missing the crime scene because, as you know, you may not know, Nancy, my searches have produced other humans that was found out there in that desert area. Right here, one matter of fact, a skull that's found near this crash area here. That they haven't found nothing. They have never found anything with their searches. This Buckeye Police Department with their cadaver dolls and Phoenix Firebird helicopter, and as well as the Civil Air Patrol. They haven't found the construction cone out there, right? They claim. And yet, in my searches, we have found human remains, bring closure to some other family members, other people's families, right? So in this letter, I had wrote this letter to describe all of that. And my son was missing this crime scene. I only seen them made it, at that point before that. They actually made a crime scene one time. There's never been a crime. Every time we find these bones, giving them never was a crime scene. The skull never was a crime scene, right? And but my son went missing the crime scene. I thought the whole area should be checked into by the FBI because it's human remains found out there in that desert, that area where my son missed. So I put the letter together, gave it to my attorney, let her look at it, and she kind of tweak it up on the legal side of it. And also, but the thing was, make sure I had that letter written and really describing and asking them to formally ask the FBI to come into my son's case to do, and he said, well, he got a response. Chief Hall gave us a response and said that because of course he had to give me a response. I CC the city managers to you name the mayor. I put all of them in that letter. I sent him a copy of the letter as well as the email. And so of course he responded and say, I already asked the FBI to do a case review. So I'm really excited about it. I mentioned to you guys on my family's press conference that I started, my family's press conference, and really happy about that and tell you, hey, I finally got the FBI to come look into Dane's case. Really happy. And I told immediately when he told us that, I mean, the day he sent the response back, my attorney crafted a letter requesting to that I be a part of that case briefing, as well as she can be a part if they don't want her being that she's an attorney. I just need to be there at least as a family, right? They did not do that. We waited a week for that response, and I was kind of anxious. My attorney said, "Hey, just give them a week, give them time to respond, because it would take them a while to, probably get the FBI the request in or whatever the case may be." But then that weekend came, I did my search, and then that Monday shot, and I got a call from the Buckeye Police Department detective
He told me that they had the case review without me with the FBI. They did behind my back, right? And then in that case briefing, he told me, and I do have that recorded as well. He said, "You, Mr. Robinson," they said that you, Mr. Robinson, doing such a good job on your own. They don't have to come in, right? That was offensive to me. It was shocking to me. It was disappointing to me because I told my family about it. Really, really happy. Told you guys about it. It's embarrassing, and then the FBI is not coming in because they think I'm doing a better job than they are. That's how out there begging for money to try to get searches, begging for volunteers to come out and help, which I didn't really have to beg at all. You guys showed up, but working out there every week out there in the sun, 118 degrees, all this and find other human remains. We did do good. We did better than the Buckeye Police Department, I can say that. Finding human remains out there and finding other article of clothing and things like that, suspicious stuff. Even the cell phone I found with my searches found near this crash site that's also going to be forensically tested. So we have found things. We have been doing very good as civilians, as people who don't know. I don't know a clue about searches. I never organized anything in my life, was able to do it by the will of God. But the thing is, I'm saying is never better than what the FBI have, never better than their expertise and things like that. Now going forward, Nancy, I can say after hard work, and I don't care. I have one guy here. As a matter of fact, he's actually was my search coordinator at the time. Would go out and say, "Oh, my son's vehicle wasn't on federal land." I did the work out there, and I had the reason why I put it that way straight out like that because it's offensive to me. First of all, because I had to go out there. You guys don't know. I go out in the desert sometimes by myself. I take the risk. I just don't tell people when I'm doing it. Of course, my son was missing out there, so I protect myself. I'm heavily armed. Take care of myself, but I go out there to go take care of some things I have to take care of from my investigative side, right? So I went out there to mark this land, and the way it happened, I was suspecting that my son's vehicle may be on federal land, and so I put in the coordinates, and I ended up sending it to team member, and she wrote the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and sent the letter to them and say, "Hey, look, this is the coordinates. The vehicle may be in." And then when they came back, they sent a map, and they had the coordinate that she put, and they say, "No, this is where our land start, and this is the coordinates you gave. And no, it's not on federal land, right?" But when I looked at it, because I know this land, I'm here, think about it, over 40 some weeks. I know this like the back of my hand, this area. So when I saw the map, it struck me. I was like, well, according to his map, that definitely put my son's vehicle on federal land. So I had to resend it. I went out there to make sure to verify. I knew it was wrong because I look at where he put the marking on the coordinates that we gave. So I said that was the wrong coordinates. So let me go fix this. I went out the desert on my own. I took a real good Garmin GPS finder, and I went out there to using my phone and everything I can to get a real good coordinates and stand right there, right here where this vehicle was located, right where this clothing and all this stuff located. And lo and behold, yes, it's indeed on federal land, right? Because when I did the coordinates and matched it up with the map that they gave me, yes, it's on federal land. So I went ahead and sent it right back to this BLM representative. And when he got it, then he's changed his story. Now, this helping us the whole time, corresponding back and forth, email. As soon as I give him the coordinates, now they shut down. He said, "Well, we can't do nothing. We can't talk to you no more unless you got through the police or through your attorney or something like that out of other." So now they're on the attorney thing because now they realize, yes, my son's vehicle's on federal land. I did tell the FBI agent that when I went to go meet this case review agent, and I said, "Hey, my son's vehicle is on federal land. When y'all be responsible?" No, this Buckeye's jurisdiction for your son's case. I'm like, "Well, how's that when it's on federal land?" And it's, "Well, that Buckeye overrides their jurisdiction," which I don't agree with because I never known that somehow Buckeye could be in charge of their land. So anyway, long story short, this was the agent spoke to us, whatever, put it that way. So the thing is, I'm saying is definitely I have attempted to get the FBI, but I am going to continue to attempt to get the FBI into my son's case because, first of all, yes, it definitely is on the federal side of things. My son had possibly a vehicle, possibly whoever was responsible, cross over federal lands to put the stuff, but it's really hurtful. People, it's hurtful, and not in the fact that when you say that with this Dylan Rounds case, it's not as hurtful that this family getting the FBI to look into this thing. That's not the hurtful part. The hurtful part is that they're not doing that for my family as well, right? And easily, right? I see this happen a lot. It happened with the Petito case as well. I don't like to keep mentioning them, but it happened as well. Like I tell the reporter, they keep on trying. Well, in my opinion, they keep coming at me like trying to make it like there's something wrong with the Petito family to be able to get the national attention or the urgency, I would say, that they've gotten with the FBI's and all these agencies burning up millions of dollars on resources to find these people, right? The murderer got over millions of dollars just to find him, right? A murderer. And they've spent money to find him, right? That's not a problem. They should do that. The problem is that it took me 3 months just to get local news to cover my son's story, and as well as it took a length of time to get him up to a level where you guys and I still, after a year, don't have the FBI or these agencies or helicopters are looking for my son, or I haven't had one officer to come to my searches to help me out. I didn't have all these agencies pouring and knocking on my door, or even Everett that reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to help." I'm even having a hard time right now to get other departments to come look into my son's case and things like that. So that's the kind of thing that make you angry, and but it shows how the differences on the way certain things are handled from the other. You know what I'm saying? So, and my son, like I said, young geologist. No, he's no better than nobody. And I'm not saying in a way to make Daniel better than anybody, but he earned his way. He's a scientist. He earned his way. He been like that from he's the youngest of his siblings in the household, and he always looked up to his oldest brother and his sisters, and he always try to outshine them in everything, academically or whatever the case may be. All of them smart people, scientist type people. But he's been to pull up the rear. He earned. I mean, I can't never remember any time that Daniel come out of one grade and got always got some kind of medallion on his chest. You know what I'm saying? Where he's an academic all-star or something. You know, I remember when I was coming back from Afghanistan, and I had people hit me up about my children. Man, you see, your son was on Daniel. You seen he was on the news playing the French horn or something here in the local community, my local news channel back at home in South Carolina, and as well as some other things about them. So always earned his way. I mean, earned his way, fight hard, brilliant, smart. I mean, just intelligent. But he's still a young man. He's still like any other kid. You know, he gonna do some kid things. He made me, and I smile because I wish I can have those moments back where he make me angry because he do dumb like spend a night with his woman house that he didn't know. And he's smart to do something crazy like that. But that's what young people do. They do something, not thinking sometimes. But overall, what I'm saying is my son have helped us help Arizona become great. You know what I'm saying? He's a scientist out there, making sure people water safe, making sure they're not getting ripped off by some contractor who come in, developer who just want to build a community and Jeep you guys, you build your house out there, spend all your money out there, and then you find out you ain't got no water, and then you got to pay this money to get water imported to your community or somewhere the case may be. That's his job. That's what he do. He determines all of that. You know what I'm saying? He's a contributor. And to make Arizona, United States, whatever, great. So and it's offensive, you know what I'm saying, to hear that and then see me here pretty much begging for real help in my son's case, like real help. I should have never again had all the stuff given to me for safekeeping. The vehicle given to me the day after it been found. That should have never happened. It should have never been treated as if my son with the head in. I'm gonna say that how non-compassion this department is. That's what I'm saying. Even look at how they treat me at the their little whatever, their little meetings. The meeting they got up there. My mind's going blank on that. But the way they treated me, you know what I'm saying, the mayor and all that, they haven't even reached out to one day. They didn't even say hello to me yet, and they treated my son that way, believing that he had some kind of head injury, but then go look for him like he had a head injury, still not looking for him as he had a head injury. Because, hey, no, here's his things. After they found they believe he had a head injury. No, here's his things marked for safekeeping with his head injury. I know he's out there with a head injury, naked, with wild animals and everything out there, but he's going to come back and get his things. So here's his things right here. He's going to come back and get his things.
We ain't gonna go look for him. He's a grown man. He can go disappear if he want to. That's the way they approach my son's case. And, so, no, I'm not going off because that kind of set me off, Nancy, and I really appreciate your questions, guys. So you got to bear with me. After a year, I do get frustrated, and I do go way off another end. But thanks so much for your question. What about the female he was seeing? Did anyone question her? Yeah, they asked her a story. And that's as far as I can see, because when there was a question her, even my investigator, sad to say, my former investigator, sad to say, when they questioned this girl, I call her girl, she's around my son's age. They questioned her. They just took her story, right? I haven't seen any resistance, not even from my investigator. I haven't seen, well, my former investigator. I haven't seen any real resistance. I even hear him come on some little thing after the fact now. He don't work for me anymore, but he went out and say, "Oh, I talked to the family," and pretty much making in light of like she's a really good person, that type deal. But my son is missing. But then at the same time, he's putting out some suggestions, unfounded suggestions that my son probably may have found some laced PCP laced marijuana or something out of it. Something that he didn't discuss with me, and I the one paid him at the time, and he put that out there to help people. And I told him this: look, when you say things, people take that as it's facts or something, and that's a theory. I don't have no problem with no theories at all, because you have to have theories. A ludicrous theory was that my son joined a monastery, become a monk, and there happened to be a monastery in Arizona. I had to go check myself just because they said it. So I don't care about theories. Theories are theories that have to be checked into. But when you say it a certain way and they come from you throw something out in public, that's not an investigator's place to go out there and do that. But anyway, the fact was, what I'm saying is, when people question certain things, they question the way they want to. They didn't question um, the whole idea of what really was happening in this situation with the young lady. So, like I'm saying, it's not more. It's more of, like I said, if you guys can look at how it's done. My son being a male, and it's more to make him like type almost like a villain versus the victim. You know what I'm saying? Because even when they talk like that, they have not mentioned the facts that his phone was wiped of her name, just her stuff, her stuff. His memory card is missing. Now, when I say her phone was wiped, like the geolocation stuff, everything else is intact. You can see every phone call, text messages from me and his family, his members, his friends, some of the coworkers. I don't know all the coworkers there, but the coworkers, to everybody, text messages there. Everybody's there is untouched, right? You can read everything. But when it comes to that young lady, him and the young lady, gone, right? When it goes to the memory card, missing. So his geolocations around the time when he was missing, gone. All that stuff, right? So that's not suspicious to the Buckeye Police Department. It's not. It wasn't suspicious to my own investigator. Is what I'm trying to say. And so when I start looking at hindsight with that, it's more so, hey, let's throw out that he may have laced marijuana or something, or he was a guy that, that type deal. No, I'm not gonna go for that. So that's the kind of thing when it comes to her. No, I don't think there's enough questions to ask. No one, not enough digging into the story. Just like I said, what happened at the well site. No digging into the guy's story about he just, waved off to him and disappeared. Nobody got dig into, but me and my daughter. I think we probably the only two that was ever in the interrogation room at the Buckeye Police Department. I can't imagine anybody else in that interrogation room besides me and her. So that's how things been handled from day one. All right. All right. Anybody else have any questions? I will answer those. Thank you guys for coming into this Q&A, and bear with me on my emotions and everything else that goes on, because after a year, yes, I do have to express some of that. Okay. So if you guys see that, it is a lot of frustration on my part. It's a lot of anger on my part when it comes to the way this games that I see go on that happens in the way people approach this case. It's a lot. So it's a lot that a family member had to endure just to know. None of these people who deal with my son's case have a missing child, right? They don't have a missing son or daughter or mother like Sherry has. You guys saw here. They don't have nobody missing, right? So anybody can always look in
and make their own assumptions about feelings and how people should feel and how long they should wait and how long they, all that kind of stuff. They have their own opinions, and these police officers, to me, handle these cases based on probably how they treat their own kids or something. They might not even like their own kids or something. I don't know, but maybe that's the way they would treat their own kids. But I know then they're not gonna treat my son that way, and I'm gonna sit here and try to do everything I can to, So all right. I do have a question here. Oh, thank you, Elaine. Thank you, guys, for being here as well, for your support. Thank you for your question. Thank you so much for everything you've done out there in the desert. I always got to make sure to put at a point because we're a family. So thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you on the Q&A this evening. We have a question here. Say, wasn't there a tweet? Cheryl from Cold Case Investigation offering to help test the DNA on the airbags. That will show who the airbag hit. Are you taking that offer? Yes. I'm not gonna say yes. I would take an offer just because the person offered me that. Now, one thing I can say is I can look into an offer like that. I can look into it and make sure it's the best right fit for my son's case. You know what I'm saying? I can't just let things just happen. One thing I cannot let is I'm really not really comfortable with a lab, for instance, who would be inside of Arizona. My son things had to be taken care of most likely through a lab outside Arizona on my part. But if it was to be like Maricopa County or somebody take over my son's case, then that'll be something different. But right now, something I'm doing for myself, I have to be careful who I just say, hey, yeah, I'm just because you offer and I just throw it off like that. But no, that's not going to happen that way. But I can look into it. I don't have anybody who said if it's a tweet, that's another thing. I don't know about a tweet. But if it's somebody who came to me and asked me personally, I would like to look into that person to see who they are and what they're offering and who they are and where they're from and what they're offering and things like that. So I'll wait. If this Cheryl wants to do that from the cold case investigation, want to offer her help, so I need to find out more about her, where she's from, what she does, and things like that. Then I can make a definitive answer on that kind of question. But right now, no. My son is too important to allow just anybody to handle his case. So definitely have to look into that. But thank you, Elaine, for putting that out there. But yes, you're right. That airbag is as I do have the airbags, and that airbags do rub off DNA, and that DNA is one of the biggest things I need right now. Just determine how many people was in that vehicle, who was in the vehicle, was my son actually driving at that moment, and then the clothing itself, the clothing that they got from the scene, was that clothing even in that vehicle? If it is Dan's clothing, was it even in the vehicle at the time he was wearing it, if he was in that seat? Because it would have the chemicals or things that comes off the airbags in them clothing. Was those clothing on the ground washed if it's end up in his? Was there detergent in it? There's things like that. So all that stuff had to be looked into. This is a real investigation to my son's disappearance and impossible crime. They don't want to look at it as a crime. I know, and I look at it as a crime scene, and it's going to be treated that way. They're going to find the answers I need to find, and I will have those forensics done the proper way. Now, as it comes to Cheryl again, I don't know if you're saying they offer some free type deal. So, like I said, all that I have to look into. Tell her if she want to reach out to me, she can. I don't know who Cheryl is, but you say cold case investigations. They want to reach out to me, they can. No problem with that. So thank you for that one. You guys, if you got anybody else who have some resources that want to help, please have them reach out to me. They can go to the put it on the bottom of the screen here. Go to please help find Daniel at yahoo.com and reach out to me, or they can go to the public cell phone number starting off 803-200-7994. That's my public cell phone number. Two ways they can contact me is right there, strolling on the bottom of the screen, because I need all the help I can get. But again, like I said, when it comes to investigation, something like that, I definitely got to vet person. I'm not going to say somebody come and say, hey, I got this, and I'm gonna do this for you. I want to do this, and I'm just going to just hand it off. No, it's not going to be that way. Unfortunately, first of all, I go through and investigate as well. A lot of these labs that I have dealt with or reach out to, it definitely had to go through my investigator, like the cell phone. Had to go through my investigator and or my attorney or something like that. So I can't just do it myself, send it straight off because it's conflict of interest. I'm Daniel's dad, of course. So things like that can happen. Some of them just don't work with it at all unless you're law enforcement. So There's a lot of different ones. So we'll check into that, Lane. Thanks so much for that. All right. I do have a question here from Kendra. Thank you, Kendra, for being here as well. Okay, yes. Thank you for being here as well, Kendra, from the Facebook side. Did they question the old man who claims to have found his car in a news report? Well, it was a rancher that found my son's vehicle. And that rancher, man, I wouldn't think he was so old, but he's old enough. But he's the one that found it. He's I think it's a fourth generation, something like a cattle rancher. But that's his land is on the outside of this federal side of that area, and he definitely um, you know he should be questioned a lot more. Well, he's been very helpful. It's kind of hard to say. It's kind of back and forth with the rancher. He's been helpful with a lot of information he's given. Like I said, statements and everything. And he gave a lot of information that is helpful. But yeah, everybody had to be questioned in a proper way. You know what I'm saying? A question is two different things but he's the person that found the vehicle, right? So yeah, of course, it still needs to be questioned. But I say question more so the people involved, my son, direct involvement, like the guy who last seen my son, the young lady who last seen my son, things like that. So those people definitely have to be questioned. Now, also, like I said, the rancher, yeah, they could go check his story, verify his story. That's one thing for sure. But like I said, everything he told myself and my investigator, it would make a lot of sense. For instance, he was there when they supposedly did all the searches. He the one pointed out all this to me. He said they only had one razor. I mean, he was giving me numbers. And then lo and behold, when the Buckeye Police Department gave me the picture, this is one of them you see behind me, but there's more pictures I can share with you guys. But from their drone footage, they have never to this day given me anything that suggests helicopter footage. Because even on the thumb drive, flash drive they gave me, the detective had it labeled on that file, drone footage, right? There was no helicopter footage because he said there wasn't no helicopter out there. So this rancher, he said he was out there the whole time. He changed he said they had this one razor. He had to change the tire is flat. He told me they only had one cadaver or one dog. He don't know what kind of dog, but they said all the other dogs they requested from Maricopa County was in training at the time. And they only had one dog, and that one dog went out there almost an hour, and they brought it back. Some of the mountain lions stalking it. They only had, and he gave me a number. I have it written down, but a number of officers that's out there. And lo and behold, when you look at the drone footage, you count those officers, and he was right. He named on the 4 vehicles, and they probably did a massive search, but had the 4 vehicles out there, and you counted on things. He's right. I mean, everything he's saying matches up to his word. And this after his stuff, that I was able to get. I mean, that was before actually. I was able to get those footages or whatever. But he was saying some things that was that matches up to their pictures. I haven't seen this helicopter footage when he said told me they flying so low for Daniel, I hold my hand up and touch the bottom, the man hanging off the side, all that. That dude said there was no helicopter out there. So, that's the kind of thing they put in a report. And I can say this now, you guys know that at Chief Hall, that department, he was suspended, and as well the department got in trouble for falsifying reports. So I'm not saying necessarily, but it's my opinion that the reports have been falsified. And they do have a record of falsification reports. He got suspended for it. Crime statistics. That's why they ain't open for me when finding the human remains out there, and they had their buddies and everybody else. You got to be careful who you deal with. But it's trying to put it out there that it wasn't that many human remains, or there was no human remains found out there, and all that kind of stuff. They're trying to kill that crime statistics. There's a lot of stuff happening out there in that desert, and that's just the facts. But they don't want you guys to know that, because they're trying to. There's millions of money coming out there, and that it won't look good for Buckeye to have dead people all over the desert. So that type deal. So I get that. But anyway, yeah, to go that right there, they need to question everybody. So not just question, they really need to dig into questions. Two different. They ask me a question, I give them an answer, and as far as it go, that's the way I see things being handled. All right. I do have a question here from high HGHCLLN. I don't know how to even say that, but thank you so much for being here on the Facebook side. Where did they take Dane's vehicle? I cannot tell you that. I do have possession of Dane's vehicle. and that is at a secure location. I'll just leave it that way. I can't tell you that. That's one thing that would not go out in the public. All right, but thank you so much for your question. All right, anybody else have any more questions? Please put the word question there, some question marks, anything that indicate you have a question. It'd be easier for me to find it. I really appreciate it. All right. All right, there we go. We have one from Tanya. Thanks so much for your questioning off Facebook. I have been playing. Oh, don't forget, you guys. I'm gonna say this real quick. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. So I see a lot of new names here. If you guys can just do that real quick, so you won't forget. That'll help the algorithms get this channel growing. I really need to push Dan's story out as far as I can. This is not an entertainment channel. It's not for entertainment. It is for me to find my son. I decided, where the news fell. My son's story did go national, but when they failed, when they had to, cater to other stories, to my son, cases got boring. My son's still missing, and my job is to try to keep his name out there as much as I can. My job is try to push his name out far as I can, keep his story alive, and so that somebody who knows something may say something, or I might get the help and things I need to continue my fight for my son. So it's important if you guys can stop right now, hit that whoever, try to just help them. Just do that. Even if they ain't following or whatever, if they can just do that, the children wise, just get people to like, share, and subscribe to help me get the algorithms going to get Daniel's story out there, because I really, really pushing it hard. This is where I'm at in this phase of searching my son. I have done all the desert searches. I'm still have some searching to do, but that's gonna be more when I do have searches again. It's gonna be more geared towards investigative stuff, and that's when it'll happen. So you just have to keep watching the website for update, and as well when the foundation website come up, you guys can watch that and see when there's going to be things like that done as well. So from that foundation standpoint. But the thing is, you guys definitely, if you can hit that like, share, subscribe button right now, so you won't forget, that'll help as well. And I really appreciate it. God bless you. I do have a question from Tanya. I have been paying attention to this case. I'm wanting to donate, but don't see the 501c3. When will you be back in Arizona? Thank you. One of the things is on the 501c3, it will be able to do all of that. So like I told you guys, we're still working on some of those things, those bylaws, and some of the other little things, detailed parts of the foundation, and it'll be up and running again. Get up and running to be able to help families and do everything that is designed to do. So it's a lot of hard work on the back end, but thanks so much, and just keep looking up for Tanya, and what that will be a launch date for the Daniel Robinson Foundation. And so when that date comes, I call it a celebration date, because it's a celebration, because that date will be a day that here's a foundation that's geared to really helping people, helping family members, especially with what I had to go through just to get some help, just a little help. So hopefully this foundation will, I'm speaking in positive terms, this foundation will be able to help other families in this situation. So thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. So whenever that time comes, yes, please, yes, donate, please do that. But if you want to keep in contact with us as well, the contact information is on the bottom of the screen. I would ask you, it'd probably be better if you want to do emailing, please have finddaniel@yahoo.com. I do have board members that will be able to see that questions more about the foundation and stuff like that, how you can donate to the 501c3. Excuse me. To the 501c3, and that would help as well. So, all right. Anybody else have any questions? Please don't mind putting the word question there. And I see question. Thank you, HGH, again for your question. All right. After being out in the desert from where Daniel's vehicle was found, how close was the nearest home or ranch or town? Well, this community that's south of that area. There's a Pioneer. I think it's called Pioneer, some kind of plant that's south of that, that do landscaping type deals. Those areas are close, as in ranch. I wouldn't say a ranch that I know of. I haven't found anything like somebody actually living out there. But the neighborhood, there's a neighborhood not far from there. I say a good 10 miles, roughly, if you go back on Sun Valley Parkway
and then go down Sun Valley Parkway. I was about 6 miles, I'm guessing, south of the gate that you go in to get in the area where Daniel was missing. There's a community there, a small community of houses. And also you go north. There's several miles north. There's on Sun Valley Parkway, there's also an area called Festival there before you get to farther out to get to this place called Surprise. So it's some communities near, not really like close near, but near that in the area. So as in like you said, some type of ranch or something that's sitting out there in the desert. I haven't found anything like that yet. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I just haven't seen it yet. So some of the volunteers may know, but I haven't seen it yet. All right. Thanks for your question. I do have one from Lady V. Thank you guys for coming in for the Q&A. Has there been other wrecked cars found out in that area? Yes, we found the pickup truck. Believe it or not, of all colors, is red. So, but that took a lot of stencil pictures. Myself and my investigator at the time, and I mean that paint job is flawless. They'll be sitting out there, and out there we found out the vehicle was stolen. First of all, it's stolen. It's Maricopa County sticker on it. So they knew about it, about the vehicle itself. We called it in. But it was a vehicle found probably, I want to say, probably 10 miles or so from this area here. So some people say, oh man, that's where 11 additional miles came from. We searched that vehicle very good to see any kind of, if it came in contact with anything. Like I said, that it was unbelievable, flawless. And then the drive shaft, not drive shaft, but the axle and all that was broken. It was in the dirt. Whoever the vehicle belonged to, a lot of the contents was still in the vehicle, all over the back of the vehicle, cans and you name it, things like that. So yeah, but we found that. We found also a vehicle out there that was burnt down to the ground. The only thing left is the engine block, a fragment of it, as well as another one's burnt down. The entire car is still there, but of course it was burnt down. So people do that. They go out there and burn vehicles down. I don't know if they're doing for insurance purposes or murder or whatever. I don't know, but things do happen out there. We do find those type things. We found things like that out there. Also, not just the wrecked cars, but the clothing items that was found. We found a pile of clothing in the same manner that was described as supposedly be my son's clothing, was found near the well site where Daniel went missing, in that area. So that belongs to someone that's a lot larger than Daniel. The pant size was way bigger. Whoever it was a heavier person. And but it was in the same manner, clothing, everything on that person's body on the ground. I can't remember of seeing any shoes at all, but just the clothing itself. So we was at the time thinking of maybe a serial killer. All that stuff turned on the Buckeye Police Department, but you guys don't hear about it in the report, of course. All right, because it makes the crime statistics look bad. So, all right. If you guys have more questions, I did have one from L. Thank you, L, for being here. Thank you for your constant support. David, Arizona State Trooper have red or yellow new Mustangs unmarked pursuit cars. Can you get a sample of the red and yellow paint from Daniel's Jeep and see if there's a chemical match? Well, that's part of going to be the investigative part. The forensics part of things. And one of the things for me personally, once that vehicle start getting forensically done, those things get done, I'll be happy because I haven't even touched that vehicle and been so close near that vehicle. The closest I've been in that vehicle was 3 feet away, and that's with the detective from Buckeye. And then the second time was probably like 12 feet away when my investigator was going through it, and I'll just watch it from afar. And so that type deal. So all the time I've seen that vehicle twice, and haven't seen it since. But definitely once that forensic work get done on it, yeah, a lot of that can be chemically matched and things like that. So, all right, thank you, L. HGH, thanks so much for your question. Can you please provide location where Daniel worked and where his vehicle was found? Location where the vehicle was found, of course, is going to be on policehelpfinddaniel.com. You go on the set the map, you'll see the
car symbol, and that's where you can find the vehicle, where the vehicle's located. You'll find this area here. As in where he's working, he worked for a company called Matrix New World, also called Major Southwest Groundwater. That's the company he worked for. If you was talking about where's the well site located, that is also on that website. On the same thing, on the SAT map, the same map, you'll see a pin symbol, like a pin drop symbol. That's where the well site is. You can get the location, the coordinates from that as well. The SAT map of policehelpfinddaniel.com is where you guys can find that. You can hear me lose my voice a little bit. I'll probably get some water in a minute, but what I'm saying is go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and it's right there. So, all right. And let me see. Anybody else have any questions? Please, by all means, ask a question. I'm about to run out of time here. It's been on at that 2-hour mark now. Okay, I do have one from L again. Thank you, L, for your question. Did you know Arizona police keep track of all political activists, BLM and Antifa members? So if the state trooper in red Mustang, did you get Daniel's police record? Daniel, Daniel don't have any. He don't have any kind of record. He don't, like I said, told you guys, he don't have a speeding ticket. As in him being part of any association with the movement, of terms like the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement, or anything like. No, he's not that kind of protester. He's a protester of a person like myself. Had I been in Arizona that day, I would have been at that march out there protesting. And sometimes what it is, I'm saying with what happened in Phoenix, a person like myself and my son, or anybody else as well who have a matter, just because, like I told you guys, I can say I'm pro-police, which I am, but I'm not pro-police brutality. I have scars on my body from a childhood from police brutality. Excuse me, physical scars at that. So I'm against that. And they don't take we can get into the BLM standpoint, what Black Lives Matter means. It means like same standard, but I'm not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. But what I'm saying is he's not part of a movement of like he's stamped Black Lives Matter, stamped like he's working for the department or whatever the case may be, or some Antifa thing or whatever, anti-fascist type deal or whatever. No, he's a concerned citizen, geologist who out there saw something wrong. That's his nature. You see something wrong, you speak about it. Like the late John Lewis say, you see something wrong, say something. You can't just sit still and not keep get in some good trouble and say something. Martin Luther King said something. Malcolm X said something. They can't say they was part of the BLM movement. No, they just people who went out and said something and did something about what they feel is wrong. You know what I'm saying? You go out there and protest. That's our part of our constitutional right. So my son have done that. That's what he do. He was really proud of that. I'm really proud of him. But as in for the movement itself, I can't say he just out there and he's part of some organization. No, he's just a concerned citizen. He went out there and did what he did. But when, like I said, because of that, he did that. That's the concern I have, as well as in the retaliation, where you got the and I'll be honest, where I put it, these racist type cops or whoever would look at Black people, whoever support, go out and speak out against them as the enemy. As in like I said, in my opinion, if there's such thing as a good cop, and they see a bad cop go do something, and they're taking up for that department, they're taking up for their coworkers, they got this blue code of silence or whatever they call it. They all bad cops. Because again, if I was riding down in the car tonight, I get in the car with one of my friends, and he have a trunk load of cocaine or something. I don't know what's in his trunk. And we get pulled over, and they open his trunk and find a whole trunk load of cocaine. You think they're gonna say, well, it's his vehicle, and he's gonna go, no, I'm associated with him, I'm going to jail too. No matter how much I didn't know what was in there, which is the truth. But if I knew my friend was a cocaine dealer and I got in the car with him anyway, yeah, I'm just as guilty as he is. Automatic. I know, because I should have known better not to ride with him. I'd be like, oh no, it ain't gonna happen. But the same thing with the police officers. They got in their department and they ain't doing nothing about the wrong they do. They can't take criticism when they don't get something right. Yeah, they bad cops. So yeah. As in for this thing you say, Arizona police keeps track of political activists. My son is not an activist. He just a concerned citizen. Of course, he been in the Black Lives Matter movement or whatever protest. I should probably call this say the protest about the brutality of George Floyd. So he was out there for that, but he's not an activist, a so-called activist. But he did do an interview, and I would be an activist. I would be one. I can be honest with that. I would, given any chance, I would be an activist to fight against corruption and everything else. So I don't have no problem with that. I have no problem with that, and I think Daniel wouldn't have no problem with it either if he had time. He's a young man doing his career, and if he have time to ever done that, yeah, he would as well. I'm sure to be an activist, to do do some work to help other people and get things done, and don't take just anything. So, all right, thanks so much, El, for your question. If anybody else have any more, El, you have a lot, so thanks so much again. David, did you know Arizona troopers drive both red and yellow pursuit Mustang cars? No, I don't. I do not know. I haven't seen them. I haven't, to be honest with you, I have seen the black and white ones, or black and gray ones, but I have never seen anything red or yellow. So, um, well, not in Phoenix or when I'm on I-10, so I haven't seen anything like that. So who knows? But thanks so much for that. So, yeah, whatever happened, yeah, I definitely need to get those answers. Those things will be coming through the forensics work, and I'm really fighting hard to, like I said, you guys, I'm really fighting hard to get that work done. So, anytime you guys can continue to support me on that, and thank you so Elaine earlier for giving out the information. I'm sure you can get me the direct information after this because you have my number. Definitely, we'll try to look into this person who interested in doing some forensics work and find out who this person is and who they're associated with and all that kind of stuff. All right. All right, Brittany Grider, thanks so much for your coming out to this Q&A and your question. Did a coworker provide the police with a description of what he remembers Daniel wearing to compare it with the clothing that found? No, he said he don't remember what he's wearing, but he do remember his shoelaces untied. My son have one hand, you know what I'm saying? So it's possible his shoelaces may be untied. He not tie a shoe. Amazingly, Daniel know how to tie his own shoe. He taught himself. He's been, that's one thing. He's born that way. So he taught himself. He's really good at everything he do. However, it's possible that his shoelace was untied. He had one hand, of course. The other part is he said he had the safety vest on. That's the only thing he remember. And then he also remembered that his eyes wasn't dilated. Like he was looking in his eyes. And again, that's always suspicious me every time I hear that in my head. This guy in daylight, broad daylight, and my son is a black male with dark brown eyes. And he think he can actually see my son's pupil to determine if they're dilated or not. Only way a doctor see a black man's eye or anybody who with dark eyes like that, and they'll take a light. That's why they use light to look at your pupils. Even though police also do that, take a flashlight and look at your pupils. And I know for a fact my son ain't gonna sit there and say, "Hey, let me look at your eyes, see your eyes dilated." My son let him hold him by the head or put a light in his eye to see if his eyes. I mean, what you want to know if my son's eyes dilated or not for? Somebody you just meeting, that type deal. So, um, 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 uh, that kind of thing, but he couldn't definitely tell us what Daniel was wearing, other than the set, like I said, the safety vest. He told me he had a safety vest on, and then his shoes was untied. That type deal. But he's observing his eyeballs or something to see if they're dilated. That type deal. All right. All right. Thanks so much for your question, Sarah. Thanks for your question as well. Have you reached out to Sean King? No, I have not. I tried messaging him through email, but my email didn't deliver. He would be great to spread awareness. Sean King. If anybody, my team members are still here. I think I remember the name though, Sean King. But no, I have not reached out to him yet. All right. Thanks so much. But I'm assuming Sean King may be a content creator for YouTube or something like that. You say you get some awareness out there, and I need all the awareness I can. If you guys know any kind of way. You know, so if you guys can, you know, help get Daniel's story out there, that's really important for me and my family to get it out there because, you know, it need to be widespread. It need to be everywhere, no matter where, even in other countries. It had to be everywhere to me. All right. Kendra Brown, thank you so much. Contact Sean King. No, I haven't. Again, you know, I hear a lot. I'm telling you something, you guys. I hear a lot. I get a lot of names thrown at me and through Q&As and questions, and I get it. And these people really, I'm sure, are great people who's actually doing some things out there for people, and that's the plus part. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what my goal is to help other families as well. But I reached out to a lot of people since I've been out on the searches out there. I must have reached out to so many nonprofits. You know, people throw out at me and say, "Hey, special aquasearch." That was one of the main ones. And they'll say, "Hey, go talk to this person, this Dave, this that, blah blah blah, so on so on." And then when I do that, I have never get anybody to reach out, really reach out. I got a lot of promises or empty promises that never came to be. You know, so I'm not saying that everybody's the same. What I'm saying is a lot of people out there that does work for people and that do a lot of things. I even had one was some kind of retired FBI person, and she's so big in the Twitter community, I guess. And it got so much they wanted me to talk to this lady that the agent started getting condescending about it. Well, if you're not reaching out to her, you don't want to find your son or something. I mean, I've been out there weeks out in desert look for my son. Oh, you must not want to find your son because you don't want to talk to her. You know, she's the best or whatever the case may be. And so I'm not saying this, Kendra, just to say I'm throw away this Sean King person as well. What I'm saying is I do reach out to people, and I will reach out to a Sean King and everybody else, right? But I can say that when I do that, I have done it before many times. That's what ended up happening. You know, people say they're gonna come out to the searches, and I set things up for that to happen, and I don't see them, which is great because I still have volunteers that come out to help, or you know, certain little things like, oh, I didn't fit their criteria or something like that. That type deal. My son's case don't fit their criteria. I tend to believe that my biggest downfall is I talk. My biggest downfall, not downfall, is actually a good thing. I'm not afraid to call out bad what I feel is mismanaging of my son's case, for instance. I'm not afraid to I guess in a sense when I see something wrong in the department and they're not doing something right and I mention about it. Sometimes people can be so pro police. I'm pro police, but they can be so pro police. They um, look at it and say, "Oh well, no, he's too strong against that police department," or something like that. If it's your son, you would be too. Or your child, you would be too if they're not doing right. I know for a fact, you guys, if you see what's going on, you wouldn't just be quiet about it as a parent, right? You want some real work done on your person's case. But anyway, not throwing off of Sean King, I will reach out to this person as well as what Elaine gave to me. So, like I said, I get a lot of names. And one thing that happens is also as well, I do have a team. I have a team, board members is also they're my friends that do take this information for me. So I'm sure Sean King name will come back up again as well as one of the other names here from the chat. So you guys keep on throwing them out and say, hey, you know, you need to contact this person, contact that person. But if you say something like AquaSearch, I've done that many times. Some of the other ones I can't tell you. I've done it many times. But Sean King, I think, is a new one. And there's somebody else just now that I need to check into. It's new for the forensic work and things like that. It's a new person. But I can't check into those things because I need those help as I can. And so if they help and they really do help, that'll be a plus. So thank you, Kendra, for that information. I definitely want to know who Sean King is as well. The name sounds really familiar to me. Some reason not ringing a bell for me right now, but it do sound familiar, like it's somebody I should know as well. All right. JC Adams, thank you for your question. Were you able to match the red paint to any car manufacturer? No, I have not. I haven't gotten any forensic work done on it yet. Again, that's more funding and things like that. I'm going to get the whole vehicle done and take care of. And, you know, it's going to take. So right now, because of lack of funding and not being able to do it after this month I've been trying, I'm at the point now, I'm just trying to make sure I get law enforcement in a different department to be able to get them to do some type of forensic work, utilize our tax dollars to get that work done like it should have been done in the first place, but not by Buckeye. I don't want Buckeye nowhere near my son's vehicle, but definitely, somebody else, somebody who's another department who can handle that. And if God bless, I can do it myself. That'll be even more of a plus towards to get those answers I really need for my son's vehicle. So yeah, those things need to be definitely need to be. And I can't go do it myself. I don't know if my private investigator can do it. Go out there and scrape a piece of that transfer paint off and, like I said, get it analyzed somewhere and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but definitely, yes, a lot of that need to be done. All right. Pamela, thanks for your question. Are the clothes on the ground the same size Daniel wears? I don't know. I wasn't given that information. I'm still waiting on the final report from my former investigator. Still waiting to get answers to that. I don't know. I don't know the size of the clothes. Like I said, I look at it, try to see my daughter recognize it. She was here in Arizona. So I haven't physically, outside of seeing the video that my former investigator put out on, I think he was doing a News Nation interview or something, and he was holding the clothes up on camera, which one thing he was doing. But that's the only way I've seen them clothing, like physically seeing it through pictures, not like physically seeing it in person. So it's hard to determine the size and things like that. But I can't say it's not the colors and the shirt and things like that. It's kind of tank top type deal. Doesn't match something that we normally see Daniel wearing. So we don't know. We don't know. Definitely don't know. But like I said, we just have questions about the clothing, and that definitely need to be checked out as well. Get checked out and make sure it's Daniel's clothing. It's one of the biggest parts. All right. I'm just not going to take assumptions. Just like you're assuming that Daniel went to disappear on his own. They're assuming that's Daniel's clothing without doing forensic work to say yes, indeed. And they can. And I'm gonna tell you another part about that. They would have never even be able to say that it was Daniel clothing or not, right? They said it's Daniel clothing. They told me this Daniel's clothing, right? That's what they got in their report. So that means that either they did or so-called forensic work, which I know they did because they said they didn't, to say that's Daniel's work. That's why they was able to put in their report, because they wouldn't put that in the report if they don't feel like it's Daniel's clothing, right? Especially if they know they did some forensic work, which they know they didn't. That's why they was able to do that. But now, hindsight, those clothing, we don't know if those Daniel's clothing or not. They didn't even took the time to do the forensic work to find out, right? So definitely, definitely they had took the time to find out who clothing it is, if it's indeed Daniel's clothing. And if they did do forensic work, well, they would never got an answer because they never got a DNA swab for me or the family member, his mother, or anybody until recent. We just now think about this, guys. After a year, we just now getting DNA swab. It was just offered to us, and that was by my request. I had to go out and reach out for it myself to I forgot the name of the organization, Nameless or something, and get them to call Buckeye and get this thing process done. Get the process done to get this swab. We just got it done. Last month now. Here. So when they told me when we found those fresh remains out there in that desert, and they say it's not Daniel, their reasoning was it's not Daniel. Thank God it's not. I really want to believe that. It's because they say it's not a black man's bones. First of all, I thought I took it a racial offense, but I don't know. Maybe that's a science, but I thought we was all human. And how can you tell a black man's bone versus anybody else's bone? So if you're all human, but that's what they told me before I even make it to Phoenix. I mean, literally, I left that when they finally put crime scene tape there. I literally left there reluctantly, going back to Phoenix, worried. And before I even can make it to Phoenix, Buckeye, that area of Buckeye to Phoenix, Arizona is 40 miles, 40 minutes ride, right? Before I can get to Phoenix, they called me and said it wasn't Daniel. And the reason is because it's not a black man's bone. That was the question. That was literally was told to me. So the thing is, I don't know how they can say it wasn't Daniel's bone, which I'm grateful to hear. But it, bring some clothes to somebody's family, because it was so fresh. It scared me. When I say fresh, it was a lot fresher than a lot of other human remains we found out there. But I don't know. A lot of things I don't know the way they do things. It was never Buckeye have never given me pant size. I guarantee you won't find that in the report. They don't even know what size those pants are because they ain't look at them, I'm sure. They have no description of the pant size to see if it's really with Daniel's clothing because they ain't care to look. They don't care to know and things like that. So they didn't even check the airbags to see if DNA was on there versus somebody else. So that type deal. They didn't even question about the hard hat. You know, they took a picture of this hard hat in that vehicle. If you guys, I'll move my head there a little bit. You see that window the window right here. Oh, get my finger right here. That's the only window that's busted out in that vehicle. Only windows are broken out. The sunroof don't have have glass. It have a panel, so that's why that's open. The sunroof right here, right there, is open because there's a panel. The panel's popped out. That vehicle don't have glass there, right? Only glass busted out on that vehicle is that driver's door. And my investigator determined that the vehicle, that window got busted out when the door opened. And the reason why, because there was no glass in the vehicle at all. The vehicle got hit, the glass got hit from the other side of the vehicle and it popped out this way, but the door was open. There was no glass at all in the vehicle. Just a little crumb here and there, but later, I guess, hindsight, once they picked the vehicle up, probably a little something fell. But other than that, no glass in the vehicle, right? And so you think about it, they didn't even take the time to even ask questions about the glass itself. What really happened to the glass? Because you guys look at that ground on the glass on the ground when it came in that little square, it was too perfect sitting there. I mean, when I first saw it, it's all over the place now, like little fragments there. You know, because people go over there. Believe it or not, we had people, and when I was going out to searches, they're coming out there to the search just to get a cup full of the glass or something and keep it for souvenirs. I mean, there's some people do that. I don't know why, but they went out there to get souvenir with Daniel's glass to his Jeep, whatever. So it's scattered. But when it was originally there, it was more shaped of a glass. That I can't really say, we got some, we got some serial number off it and they come from that Jeep. I don't believe all of that either. So it is a lot. There's a lot to that whole thing. But anyway, going back to the hard hat, that glass, like I said, that window's open there, but the hard hat is sitting in the back area, right? So rain come down. Rain will come through the sides, right? Comes down. So the only place rain can enter this vehicle is through that window. Coming down a little bit right here. That's the only way it come in. It ain't gonna come through the sunroof because it's on the side, kind of side like that, laying flat, right? But the hard hat is sitting sitting according to the pictures, right? They took pictures while it's lying like this, and somehow the rain made its way from that window and go to the back and fill this hard hat up. Fill it up with rainwater. They call it rainwater. This Buckeye telling me this. It's a hard hat filled with rainwater. I mean, it's almost up to the top. Rainwater. And then there's some kind of business card in there. Now, mind you, you take a business card and you put it in a cup of water and then come back in a few hours and tell me what it looked like to you, right? This card is intact. The wording on it, you can read everything was on the card. Everything is intact. And it hadn't dissolved. And they saying it's been there for 30 days. You know what I'm saying? Almost 30 days. So I mean, it is so much. It is so much to my son's case. It's so reeks of foul play or reeks of cover up or corruption or something going on. I don't know. It reeks of so much stuff that is ridiculous. And then there's nobody, either they're not willing or they're afraid or whatever the case may be, something going on where I can't get somebody to look at that certain things and start asking questions and come look in it themselves. So I had to sit there and try to force these people's hands and really go out and try to get people to look into my son's case and ask these questions when somebody just told me the other young man, like I said, I don't have time. I'm so busy, you guys, about Daniel's case. I don't have time to really understand other cases that's going on. I don't get to watch the news as much. When I do, it always be about something else going on in the presidency or something. But I don't really get time to study other missing persons cases and what's going on with these families and stuff like that. I really don't. I would like to. That's what I want the foundation to be able to do. But I'm so busy with Daniel. But then people would come to me and say, "Hey, you know what? They got the FBI in this other person's case, and they just went missing or something out of other under circumstances similar to your son's." Yeah, that's offensive to me. It's not offensive to me. Like I say again, to see another family get the things they need, because that's what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for all families to get what they need. I'm just offended because here it is a year now. My son's still missing, and I have nobody. And I talked to officers, and they're kind of giving their feelings. So like I told you guys, I'm not into people's feelings. I don't want nobody to be into my feelings. You know, we need to speak when you deal with me. It had to be, hey, let's talk about logic. Let's talk about what you can do and what you can't do. I don't need to play no games. I just don't have that kind of capacity in my brain to tolerate it. So I try my best to tolerate a lot, but I don't have that kind of thing where I would tolerate it for a long time. I would have to speak out and say something. So I don't like to play the games, and especially when it comes to my son. My son is dependent on me. He's dependent on me, and I have to be there as his father to make sure nobody take advantage of him. He's just not going to go down in some flame and just disappear. My son is a person. He's a living human being. Young man, just striving in life to do something great. I see him, a lot of myself in this young man. I started off young, computer engineer major. I didn't complete it at the time. But he has achieved and excelled what I have started, that type deal. They've been, when I say they've been listening to everything I taught them, hey, wait to have children, go out and do all the stuff and get your career first and do, all the stuff that parents tell our children, they actually been doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud, very proud of my young man. And, I'm not going to just let somebody just brush him off. Hey, here's his things. He had a brain injury. He out there somewhere, some animal might can get him, whatever the case may be, but we ain't going to go look for him. But here's his things, marked for safekeeping. Here's his vehicle. Have a good day. Go back to South Carolina. It was nice knowing you, or whatever. No, my son is more than that. My son is more than just some little making an apartment look good or something. My son is more than just some persons that think they just can, like I say, think about themselves and don't go all out to go find my son when I know they have the ability to do it. We see it happen all the time. And yes, go all out and find my son. You guys held the technology. Like I said, this country found bin Laden, a Taliban, people who was shooting at me and almost lost my life over, getting hit by IED and things like that from those guys. They found their leader in another country, but then can't come find my son. You know what I'm saying? But I fought for this country. I don't never ever like to really say like the country owed me something. Nobody put a gun to my head, asked me to join the military. Nobody put a gun to my head to sign that contract. But I did serve this country, and I got injuries for serving this country. I have things going on, that I had to deal with in life because of my service to this country. But I also had to deal with the fact that I have a missing son. And then it feels like sometimes, the country is not there. You know what I'm saying? In the sense when I say that, when we have 2022, and I'm constantly hearing other families as well as my own with a missing loved one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's crazy to me. When we have so much technology and you tell me you can't find no cell phone pings of my son, you can't find no his vehicle. But I bet you if I brought the bank and you guys want to get that money, find out where I put that money, the millions of dollars, you would track me from the time I left that bank to when I made it to Egypt or something. You'll track me down to every point I made and every camera I passed by and everything. But somehow Daniel was riding around with a cloaked vehicle for almost 3 years, and y'all have nothing. You have no cell phone pings, you connect, magically have all zero grids and stuff. I mean, it's crazy stuff to me. But you can't find my son. You can't find other people's missing family members, babies, and everything else. But you can find a man, another country, find Saddam Hussein hiding in a hole or something in another country. I mean, come on now. It pisses me off because these guys do the same thing I did. Raise their hand and say they're going to serve and protect, and I'll say I was going to serve in the Constitution and defend. And they do all the stuff and then don't do their job, and they get mad when you call them out, saying like they worry about their feelings. I don't care about your feelings. If you're not doing your job right, then you need to quit. Saying damn your feelings. Do the job. That's all you do. You dare to do a job. I don't care what I say about you. And if you're not doing right, yes, I'm going to speak against you. Do the right thing, and then you won't have nobody talk about you. Do your job right. You best believe if I was your boss, I ain't gonna do no just talk about you. I'll fire you too at the same time. I tell you bad about your bad poor work performance before I fire. All right. All right. Sorry, Sarah Miller. Thank you so much for your question. I have a Can-Am, Mr. Robinson, nearby search site. If you ever need someone to go with you, I would be happy to help. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Sarah. Yes, definitely need all the razors and stuff I need out there. So, oh yeah, that's those are very important vehicles. I mean, definitely like super important. So, yes, thanks so much. And I'm sure if you're in the Buckeye area, a lot of people in the Buckeye area have been very helpful in the searches out there. So, if you're near that area, yes, definitely, definitely. I just watch I make sure I remember that if you get in contact with me, please help find Daniel at yahoo.com, as well as the number that's flashing on the bottom of the screen. Keep in contact. But I definitely would say if the searches come back up again, it'll be on Please Help Find Daniel website. It'll reflect that. So upcoming, I'll keep that in mind, Sarah. And thanks so much. And help me remind me, because I have a lot going on. I say, oh, I remember this, and then I end up forgetting. Just remind me, I need all the help I can as well. So thank you. All right. I do have a question from Bo. Renee, thanks so much. Can you elaborate on the coworker searching for Daniel? You mentioned a conversation you had with him, and he searched and left of the trail where he searched. Well, the way he put it to me, I went to first thing, like I said, you guys know, I went to the first person I want to reach out to is a man who's going to tell me about my son, right? Something outside of the character of my son. That's how I heard it from the police officer. So when I made it to Phoenix, the first person I'm going to see, first of all, you the last person that's seen my son and he so magically disappeared. Oh yeah, I'm talking to you. That's the thing. But I had to look this man in the eye. Another man supposed to be around my age, I guess. Look him in his eye. You're gonna tell me the story you told the cops about my son, right? And so that's what I did. I had set up an appointment, a meeting through Dan's job. They contacted the guy. They found out he's still working that well site that Daniel went missing. Matter of fact, he was working on that well site for a week. All right. And he's there. I met him out on Sun Valley Parkway on the side of the road there at that gate. Probably the same place where Daniel was at too when he first met him, before they went into that desert. Of course, the guy he didn't come up first. You guys know that he didn't come up first. The weird part was they told him I was out there. I called and say, hey, I'm out here at the gate where he told me to come to. They told the guy there, and then some other dude showed up. I thought it was him. Hey, how you doing? Oh no, I'm not Ken or whatever. He's some other guy. I can't remember his name. And so he asked me what I wanted or something. Pretty much like, hey, well, I was told, to talk to him. I just want to have a conversation with him, about my son. Have to say about my son. This guy was asking all these questions. Whoever he was, I still don't know who he is to this day. I try to get the information. I wish I would have got that. Really, really heavy set guy. And he was like, trying to get me to get in his truck for whatever reason. And my daughter was there with me as well. But anyway, I was going to leave him up there to go with this guy, and they had him at the gate. And so, make a long story short, that this guy, he tried to get me to get in that vehicle for whatever reason. This really, I don't know, the truck dirty. First of all, one of the things was, like I said, I wasn't going to leave her up at the gate. But anyway, he kind of said, well, I'm going to call him and tell him you at the gate or whatever, blah, blah. And so he got on the phone with the phone. I guess the phone rang, he had the phone. And I guess by me standing at the door, he's sitting there in his truck. And once he, I guess, see me standing there, he was talking to Ken, I guess. And he put his truck in. He had the door still open, pull the truck and drive and kind of pull forward so I couldn't hear the conversation, right? Because you can kind of hear a little talking, but pull up so I can hear whatever they talk for a second. He put it back in reverse and pull back to me and say, oh, yeah, he said he's on the way up. So a little while later, he showed up and stuff. The first thing he did when he came out the vehicle, he had his hand in his, put his hand in his little utility box, like as if he was going to, I'm a military guy, watch hands, so make sure he didn't have a weapon. To make a long story short, the way he had his hand, like he could have had something or he was going to grab something. So I watching him, told him who I was, blah, blah, what I'm there for. And we had a conversation. So like I said, the thing was he appeared to put when I say verbatim, he was, I heard the two officers give me the lineup what he said. And the officer was off just a little, but they was on point to the details of it. And he gave it to me just how you would say, I guess, when you guys are reading the report. Gave it to me just like that, right? Same thing I heard from the officer. I was like, okay, all right. But then, I employ a technique I learned in the military as well. But it was more so befriend them, like, we had a conversation. I asked him about the Phoenix Firebird helicopter coming there. I said, you was here on, I forgot what day it was, when they had the on the 26th. He said, I was here the whole week. I was here since that day my son went missing. I was here the whole week, the whole entire time. I've been here every day. I was like, he's there all day. Matter of fact, from the morning all the way to the evening. And so I said, oh, okay, great. I said, so you was here when they did the search. They had the helicopter, had the Phoenix Firebird helicopter searching for my son, and the police and officers at the well site. He said, well, I ain't personally seen it. I heard they're supposed to be doing it, but I personally ain't seen no helicopters out here, and nobody wasn't at the well site, right? So that made me question, like, did they actually do the search? How you gonna be at the well site that they're supposed to be searching, and the helicopter's supposed to be out there? The Phoenix Firebird sound like a big helicopter, real powerful that Phoenix must have, Phoenix Police Department have. And you tell me you didn't hear that, like, that's what made me start questioning things. But anyway, he started getting back into Daniel, and he was like, hey, look, if I don't know your son mannerisms, I would have known something, blah, blah, blah. Something out of the other. I knew something, blah, 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 something out of the other. Oh, man, don't blame yourself. It's all right. So I just here to want to find out what happened to my son, got some more answers, whatever questions, let me know. Then he started elaborating. He started going on some more. He's like, well, I knew this thing was going to be something, because he said, when I followed your son tracks, and I stayed left to him because I didn't want to disturb him, because I know this thing's gonna get big, and the police gonna come looking, and it's gonna get big, and it's gonna go national. And that's the first thing. So he said that in my mind, I'm like, okay, what that mean? What do you mean going national? What do that mean? Then he went on and said, hey, he stayed left of the track, and he got to the T junction, and your son's track went it's supposed to be going to the left, and it went right. It went out farther west into the desert. I followed. And they came to this gate, and I went through this gate. I went another mile or so, and I got in my vehicle and started walking, and I got up on a big old hill, and to see if you can see him from a distance. And then he said even went as far as using a red paint to paint rocks to show so the police can know where to come look where the vehicle or where the tracks was going to, or whatever the case may be. So those are things that he was saying. And my witnessing to myself, I didn't want to show him that, hey man, you just changed the story. Where all this extra stuff come from? It's eating me to get back to the Buckeye Police Department to let them know what I learned. I did that, told the detectives what it was all told. I had my witnesses there, 2 witnesses, and he said, "Oh, that's what he said," and that's the end of the story. You guys have never heard anything about that from the Buckeye Police Department, but yet. You'll hear some unfounded things from imaginary coworkers, as well as a Waffle House person. When my son, that was his first and only time going to the Waffle House, but until the report, you'll think he's a regular customer or something. And this waitress or whoever she's supposed to be knew my son regular. They had a regular conversation. He knew my son. He always come. And that was his first time going to that Waffle House, for instance. So all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, as in that guy, yes, and he did have those kind of things he said about staying left to the tracks and stuff like that. But that's pretty much of that, Bo Renee, of that encounter with that worker. But I did learn the time, make sure it was the time was correct. It was around 9 o'clock that morning at the well site. They only been there for like 10 minutes. It was according to him. They had a discussion about the weather. He was telling me, and that kind of deal. So same things you guys were reading that report, pretty much what he was expressing to me at the time. All right. Country Girl, have you contacted the Institute for Justice? No, I have not. They have an office in Tempe, Institute for Justice. There's a lot of things I don't know about, you guys. So when y'all tell me these things, it's not I didn't look into it because I didn't want to. A lot of times I just don't know anything about that. That's some things I'm learning, and you throw the names out at me. That's why I have team members here in the chats. They write these things down, and we discussed them afterwards, and look into it and things like that. So thank you for putting that up, Country Girl. I really appreciate that. That's another one, along with the people that you guys have been putting up, who I need to go and reach out to. I think it was one that's called Heavy D Sparks. Even that person as well is one name that was thrown out to me to go look into for resources and help. So, all right. Let me see here. Kendra Brown. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I'm going on 3 hour mark. I'm just running up some time here. I need to get off, you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and get these questions. If y'all have any more questions, please feel free to answer those. I really was going to keep this thing going all night if I could. But I do have some things I need to take care of. But I will answer this question. I will probably take one or two more. But definitely, if y'all have more questions, I'll do this every Wednesday. And please, y'all, look out for this other family member. I'm looking at trying to get on. I talked to him today. He was a little tired, from his travels, but he would like to come on the Q&A to talk about his son's story. Again, my idea is to try to help as many families as I can, do my part until the foundation is up, do my part to help as many families as I can the best way I can. So here's a question from Kendra. Is the girl related to the police? I don't know yet. Well, I'm keeping that quiet, but yes, I don't know yet. As in family relations, I don't know yet. It's like they gave her opportunity that they wouldn't give regular folks, and that is true. And you probably could read all through that easily, and that is true. She did get an avenue to be able to put her own text messages up there, and then for it to make it into their report as a hearsay testimony. So that type deal without having evidence or anything. You know what's made me sickening, and I heard this, and I had to say these things for a reason, you guys. And I'm not bad. I think my former investigator did an excellent job on this, find out about this vehicle and things like that. But what disturbs me the most is when it comes to my sons. Now, I paid this guy. I pay people for his service, right? And one thing that I should have done is I should have been able to get. I shouldn't hear something after the fact in the media out there, and I had to straighten that out. Where somebody would suggest that somehow they pulled data from my son's phone from deleted text messages, right? But first of all, if that was so, didn't tell me about it, and you getting paid for that, right? I paid that service I paid for. Didn't tell me about it, but then you go after you don't work for me anymore, and you put it out in the public and say something like that, right? Suggest something like that. But then the other part is when it's not true, because one of the things is about Daniel's phone, and nobody did any forensic work on my son's phone outside of myself, right? Nobody, not my former investigator. But now, my former, but now I'm saying not from my former investigator time was I'm talking about. Nobody did forensic work on that, and so he was out putting out like some forensic work done, and he pulled his data, right, from deleted messages. And one thing about the deleted box on a cell phone, probably on yours as well, an Android, is after 30 days, whatever you delete in that box is gone, right? Unless you get it forensically done, and nothing's really deleted, right? Unless you get it forensically done. So you wouldn't have that information unless you did the forensics, because it'll be gone. And there wasn't no forensics done on the vehicle at that time. On the phone at that time when he was my investigator. So I'm saying, so when I hear that, that bothers me. That's troubling to me to be able to hear that in the public sphere. So if you guys hear things like that, that troubles me, because nothing was done from my calculations and from everything that was given to me. Nobody did any forensic work. No, I didn't pay him to do any forensic work at the time. We couldn't afford that. So the thing is, definitely, I hear things like that. But if it's true as well, where is it? Let me see it. Give me the black and white paper. Give me something that shows that, that type deal. And then there is none. So what I'm saying is, people have to be careful when they say things like that, because they come back to bite them. And but that's what I'm saying. When it comes to that girl, young lady, yeah, she got a lot of opportunities to put her own information up there, hearsay. If you really look at, I have a lady named Q Carlock. She's a content creator on YouTube as well, and I was going through the report with her, right, with the original report and report, and I can tell you guys they changed sentences and all kind of stuff, from the original report to what they got now. And one thing I saw on there, when you go through the report, she had pointed out, if you look at you guys have the report, you guys can get it. You look at the report and you see these text messages that the girl said she's going back and forth with my son. One thing about the text message, it have a timestamp. They have these stamps on it. It'll say, like, I'm using an example. July the 6th, 2022, David said, blah, blah, blah. Then the next line will be when I sent somebody something. Then the next line will say July 6th, 2022. Well, okay, I'll start over. July 6th, 2022 at 8:16 or 8:16 p.m. David said blah blah blah. And then that person responded and said, July 6th, 2022 at 8:17 p.m. This person said blah blah blah, right? So that's what's supposed to be in the back and forth conversation, right? It started off that way. To get this thing about I love you and all the stuff, all that time step was gone. It was just word, just line. This person said this, and this person said this. They had no time stamp, but it's in their report just like that. So when you see that, it suggests that the person made up some of the other stuff and added some things, right? And so that's in their report. So if you guys look at it and examine that correctly, you'll see that what I'm talking about. But it's in their report. But that's the kind of thing. What I'm saying is, when you allow somebody else to upload their own stuff, a hearsay, because a judge would throw that out of court. At least I hope so. Good judge would throw that out of court any day and say, "Oh, that's hearsay testimony." Where's the evidence of something, from that point, So anyway, that's what I get. Yeah, you're right. She had a lot of leeway. And when that officer came to me that night, I'll never forget. He called me. I think it was Haley was his name, but anyway, I think that's who it was. And called me and said something about this young lady. When I first heard this photo report, and said, "Oh yeah, I talked to her, and he even told me this. Now I say, I told her, if your son come back again, call us and we arrest him or something." Out of like he was gonna arrest my son for stalking or harassment or something out of other. I'm like, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm thinking, of course I got angry inside, but then I thought about it, because I'll tell you guys, I'm a very logical person. First of all, like I said, I don't play these games. I don't play games with nobody. So when I hear an officer say something kind of suggesting, like he talked to this young lady and he put it in a way like my son, it was a threat to her in a sense, you know. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I told this officer, I was like, look, man, you know, my son is a young man. That's not a character for my son. But at the same time, I'm an advocate for women as well. Like, I would not just let any guy, whether it's my son or not or whoever, make a woman feel out of place or make her feel, I would say maybe she got something kind of wrong. I think in my head, because my son that's not Daniel. And if she feel that way, it's a concern. What he told me, she was young, around my son's age. I think like 2 years older, and I'm like, okay, well, if a woman feel uncomfortable, you need to address that, right? So I've been a little sympathetic to that. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna argue this point, 'cause I don't have enough details or facts to understand what was going on with that when the officer came to me with that at the time. So hindsight, when I started looking at the stuff that he presented after that point, I'm started calling BS. I'm like, this girl, no, that's BS. That's BS. My son, because based on what my son, when I went back over what my son told me about the whole story out his own mouth, and also the things that was said, I said, no, that's a bunch of BS. And I've got it. That one of the big things that was a key maker for me is the fact my son told me he'd go get his canopy from my house, because he left over there that night and he needed for his job, and he do. He tried to contact her. She wouldn't answer his phone, answer his messages. So he had to need it for a job. He remember he left it in her backyard. I did want to ask him, what a canopy doing in the backyard? That's something they was doing. I don't know what's going on with them, but they was doing whatever. And a canopy in the backyard. He went in the backyard to go get it. He said he told me she saw, I guess on the Ring camera or some type of camera, and said, hey, he told her, hey, he came by to get it, blah blah. And she said that's what a statement came by somebody don't come uninvited, somebody other. So my son is not a stalker or anything like that. He was going to retrieve his items that he needed as well. But the whole point is, like I said, the lady herself, saying, got a lot of leeway. and that narrative was put there to try to make my son out of somebody he's not, the character, person he's not. So that's the part that's bothersome to me as well. All right, have a question here. Brittany Grinder, can we contact the FBI for you to help them get involved? Yeah, by all means. You know, if anybody feel like doing that, I really appreciate it. I think some people have done that before. I'm still advocating for that. Sending a letter or email, anything, of course, all of it. Phone calls. The way your case has been treated gets me heated, though. Heated too. Yeah, it does. All you're asking is to help find Daniel, and that's the thing. It started off this way. I have not changed my wording, and my thing is, please help find Daniel. That's the name of the website. Please help. That's all I've been asking for from day one. Please help me find my son. That's it. No ends and buts about it. And the only person who have been answering that call is people like yourself. Last question, Janica, Ms. Rosin, have you looked into bus depots, airports? Maybe there's footage somewhere. No, I haven't gotten any kind of footage or looked into airports getting footage. All thing I have done was looking into airports, parking lots, and places and things like that. But as in getting footage from the airports. And I just heard recently about this bus thing that city buses now, when I was growing up, it, but city buses have cameras on them now. So I just hearing about that. So that's something else new. But no, I have not. All right. All right. Thank you guys. I can keep on going. I wish I can answer these questions, but yeah, it's going on 3 hours. And I thank you guys for having the patience. And I thank you all for the questions. I mean, there's so many. I wish I can just answer them all. And if you guys have questions, please, those questions, if you can remember those questions, I ask you please save them for the next Q&A. Like I said, I may have another Q&A earlier than Wednesday because I do have a family who want to come on. I told him I want to be accommodating his date was easier for him if he wanted to tell a story about his son. And so if he want to do it before Wednesday, I would have an extra Q&A. But other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, 6:30 a.m. That's here in Phoenix. And then it'll be 9:30 a.m. in East Coast. And there's also the second of prime time as I'm doing now. It shouldn't have been this long, shouldn't have been 3 hours. But it'll be at 5:30 p.m. Phoenix time, as well as Pacific time, and then 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you guys. I love you all. I wish I can answer all these questions, the rest of them. Thank you for your support and thank you for love. God bless you. I'll see you on the next Q&A. Thank you so much, and thanks for tuning in. God bless you.